All right, guys, it's officially time to move on to week 2 because Monday Night Football over. Week 1 is in the books, and that was a very interesting way to end it on Monday. I mean, it was just an interesting week, a weird week, and man, that game both started and ended as about as crazy as you could get. I think both ways.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so obviously we're going to talk about the fallout with the Aaron Rodgers thing, how Breece Hall looked, and what do you do with Garrett Wilson. So let's start with the first thing, the pretty obvious thing that Aaron Rodgers time, what would they say it was? 25 seconds, 75 seconds. I think Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers is 10 years a Jet.
For snaps, he'll be fine next year. Achilles isn't the kiss of death for quarterbacks like it is for a running back. Like
Right.
he'll be fine. If he wants to play next year, I think he'll play. But yeah, pretty after all the hard knocks, all the off season, all the talking from the Jets, Robert Saleh, and all
Mhm.
this, and then 4 snaps, he's done. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy.
I mean, it's very rare, if at all, that I would feel bad for Jets and Jets fans. I I still kind of don't because there was a lot of smack talk and Aaron Rodgers, like whatever. Okay, but brutal for them. Like for fantasy, Aaron Rodgers probably wasn't going to lead you to a championship in a single quarterback league, personally. But Garrett Wilson, I mean, we touted him as a first rounder. And it's not like he can't do it without Aaron Rodgers because he was just fine last year. But if it's Zach Wilson, I mean, what? First of all, let's just talk right now, not knowing. Let's just assume it's Zach Wilson the rest of the year. What do you do with Garrett Wilson? Some people are saying you just sell him. Some people saying hold. Some people think, oh, maybe you can buy. What's your initial gut reaction?
I mean, my initial gut reaction is he's going to be a bust at ADP, but he'll still be like a solid wide receiver 3 to wide receiver 2 type. I mean, even last night he caught that touchdown. But what did he have? Like 30 something yards.
Yep.
So, I mean, just the ceiling, like the reason why we were so high on Garrett Wilson, well, 2 reasons. Number one, he's a stud. Look, Garrett Wilson is a stud. But also Aaron Rodgers, we know still, look, Aaron Rodgers may not be prime Aaron Rodgers anymore, but he's still an accurate quarterback, and he can still get Garrett Wilson the ball over and over. So you put those 2 things together, a stud, like we saw with Chris Olave. We talked about Chris Olave all off season and the upgrade he got with Derek Carr. And look, he went out there 112 yards at 8 catches week 1. Now, granted, it was Titans, but I mean, that's what we were expecting from Garrett Wilson. Now it's like, yeah, he'll be okay, but just the ceiling is gone. I mean, the ceiling, like 100-yard gain, good luck, maybe once if he catches a pass, breaks a tackle, and runs for 50, 60 yards, but you're not going to get 100 yards through the air. Like, yeah, the ceiling is just gone. And I mean, and even if they move on from, like, I know today Saleh said, like, no, Zach's our guy. We're riding with Zach. But even if they don't, like, who are they realistically going to go get? The Matt Ryan? That's what I like. Matt Ryan, we're going to get. Did we just see Matt Ryan with Michael Pittman? We're going to get excited about Carson Wentz. Like, who is out there that they're going to get where it's like, oh, Garrett Wilson is back? Like, yeah, this is just like all-time bad Garrett Wilson bad beat, because this isn't even like Garrett Wilson got hurt. So it's like, yeah, this is just bad.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like Tom Brady has just changed things playing at his age, because now every time there's an injury or something going wrong with quarterbacks, it's like, let's look through all the retired quarterbacks and see who. Phillip Rivers, he still wants to play. Matt Ryan, like he's ready. He's ready. Put him in. It's like, what are we doing here? Come on, like these guys are not playing still for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what would have, and I don't know if it still makes sense, is there's Trey Lance. He's not needed in Dallas, and maybe Jerry feels like he can get a haul for him, but I don't know. Jets maybe aren't willing to go there.
Yeah.
Okay, but either way, you're right. It's the concern here is that it's not even so much about how good the quarterback, whoever it is or isn't, and getting the ball. It's the philosophy. It's the game plan. This is a team that now is going to lean on their defense, which they should, because it's really good, and their 2 running backs, because they already got Dalvin Cook, and Breece Hall looked pretty sharp last night. I know he didn't get a ton of touches, but they're not going to pass enough to make Garrett Wilson wide receiver one. That's the issue, no matter what. So let's talk Breece Hall. I didn't draft Breece Hall anywhere this year. I don't know. Did you draft Breece Hall anywhere?
I did. I can't remember. I drafted him in some dynasty startups. I don't know if I got him in any season-long leagues. I'm in too many leagues. I can't even. Like,
I know it's hard to
real
remember.
quick. Nobody cares, but this is how you know you're in too many leagues. In one of our dynasty leagues, Nate sent me a trade after the Dobbins injury, where I get Dobbins and I give him a second, and I just assumed he was giving me a second for J.K. Dobbins because I drafted Dobbins so much and I'm in so many leagues. I was like, I don't even remember having Dobbins in this league, but I must have traded for him. I'll happily take a second for him now, and I just blindly accepted. That's when you know you're in too many leagues. But anyways.
Yeah, he sent me a similar. I think he does that. He sends that kind of offer to everybody just to see who bites or doesn't pay attention. But yeah,
like me.
So it almost worked. But yeah, that's the thing is, okay. So Breece Hall, I was out, just completely out on him this preseason. We're not willing to take a chance on the guy being fully back. And look, it's one game. It's been one game, and it was really that one, I guess, 2 big runs, but the volume wasn't there. Dalvin Cook's still there, and now this offense doesn't have Aaron Rodgers. So, with that said, what's your take on Breece Hall now? Buy or sell?
I think you got to be buying Breece Hall. I mean, look. Okay, I'm going to start this by saying you got to be encouraged by what you saw from Breece Hall last night, and especially if you're playing the long game with Breece Hall. Because you got to think like the risk is still there for re-injury. That's always the risk. I mean, we've seen guys like Dalvin Cook after he tore his ACL that first game back the next year. And he was a rookie, by the way. They gave him like a bunch of carries. And then in the second game, he suffered an injury. And then he missed like 5 or 6 games and then wasn't very good the rest of the year. I think down the stretch he was okay, but not like, great or anything. But anyways, there's still that risk. But he looked good. There's still, for first game back after 7 months or something crazy like that, 8 months, he looked good. But there's no way, go onto YouTube when we're done here. Don't do it right now when we're done. And look up his 62-yard touchdown last year against the Broncos. He goes from 0 to full speed in like half a second and he's gone. He didn't, he kind of looked like J.K. Dobbins running. Like when J.K. Dobbins would rip off big runs last year and his gait looked kind of weird. But, I mean, that's to be expected. So, yeah, got to be encouraged by what you saw. That was like best case scenario for sure. And I think it definitely has to make you feel better like long term, like second half of the season, fantasy playoffs, if he's still healthy, that maybe you could get a Breece who's really, really good, which is what a lot of people were drafting him for. But yeah, I mean, after those 2 big runs, he went 8 for 19 the rest of the game. So, I do wonder how much of it was, we see this a lot when a team loses their starting quarterback and the defense is planned all week for Aaron Rodgers and then it's Zach Wilson. A lot of times the defense is kind of let up and just, it's Zach Wilson now. We see this a lot. And it looked like they clamped down a little bit better. But I will say there was one clip that was posted in our Discord today where he made a nice plant off that right knee, and I was really impressed. I was like, that was actually because I watched some of Javante's runs, and he looks like a guy who doesn't have confidence in his knee right now. He just does. Breece didn't look like that. I mean, he's not 100%. It's obvious he's not 100% yet, but he didn't look like he lacked the confidence, and that's a big issue for these guys a lot of times.
Yeah, that's look. I will say I feel good enough now that I'd say if I had him, I feel good that I could put him in my lineup. Yeah. I was worried that it would just take a while. How long will it be until he gets enough touches to be fantasy relevant, until he actually looks good, and that I felt like they were going to just kind of slow play and ease him into the season. And again, to some extent, he didn't get that many carries. It's just he made that crazy long run in his first carry. So I'm still not going crazy trying to buy him everywhere, but I think you definitely got to feel better about him. Just not the rest of the Jets offense.
Yeah.
All right. So we're here to help with some of the aftermath here. you have a Garrett Wilson question, a Breece Hall question, or you know what? It's waiver wire night for a lot of people. Your waivers are going to run tomorrow. Some of you, maybe it's Thursday. Whatever the case is, you need to know who is the first priority to pick up. What are your options and how much fab? You got trade questions. We're here for that. Early start sit. Why not? So we're going to break down all of that for you. And first want to mention, because it's funny, you know, the Aaron Rodgers thing, we always promote the pick'ems on Underdog. And there's a good reason for that, because Underdog is great.
Yeah.
So they got a new one. So this one, it doesn't matter if he even gets a yard or not, because Aaron Rodgers, it happened, right? Tua Tonga Vailoa, I've been told he's good. But you know what? It doesn't matter if he throws for 400 plus yards this week. If you do any entry right here, and you can see the numbers, that's correct. It says $10,000 of actual money to 10 lucky winners. All you have to do is use Tua in a higher or lower, and you're eligible. So this is a giveaway to just randomly selected people. All you do is make an entry and use him as one of your picks. I know, I promise you that even if I did ask them personally to put this pick in, they wouldn't have listened. But I just think it's a very wise choice by them. So there you go. Higher, lower, total yards. Go for Tua, whichever one you pick. It doesn't actually even matter. Just use him. Put as many as you want, up to 5 for your pick'ems. We'll give you some of ours throughout our videos this week. Always check every day, because those projections do change. And if you've seen the in-game projections that Underdog does, they change right there live during the game, which is a pretty awesome way to kind of supplement your viewing experience. But if you haven't signed up yet for Underdog, I know some of you out there maybe haven't, you've been waiting. It's a good time. Use promo code ENDGAME. That way you make sure you get your deposit match 100% up to $100 and a chance to win $10,000. All right. So there you have it. Now it's time for the questions. And of course, you guys, most of you know how this works. If you use the super chat, guarantee we will answer your question. We're going to answer a bunch of other questions as well. And let's start with the aforementioned Mr. Nate. Because this is a good question. What's the most you would pay Puka? Obviously, going to be one of the biggest waiver wire targets this week. But what about in Dynasty?
I mean, in Dynasty, I'd be willing to spend a decent amount of my fab. I mean, if not all of it. Like, it's Dynasty. Like how many? Like, yeah, I know there are guys you can pick up that can help you this year to win a championship, even in Dynasty. Like, you know, Zay Jones might have been available last year, even in Dynasty. You know, guys like that nobody really wants. Old guys who people have given up on, who like, hey, he's kind of doing something this year in this offense, and they help you win a championship. But we're talking about a rookie wide receiver who looks pretty darn good in week 1. Maybe an understatement. I'd be willing to drop most. I mean, Puka really was a guy who was picked in most rookie drafts. I mean, maybe not 3-round rookie drafts, but like 4 or 5-round rookie drafts. I mean, he was a guy that people were drafting. I think if he's on my waiver wire, I'm willing to drop all of it in Dynasty. Like, you're talking about a
100%.
rookie wide receiver who could potentially be the wide receiver 2 on the Rams, even when Cup is back.
It depends how deep the league is. Like you said, in your deeper leagues, he's probably not out there. But if he is, I mean, the dynasty leagues we play in, our endgame dynasty leagues, there's nothing on waivers, like nothing.
Yeah.
There's guys who are undrafted free agents and they get drafted. They're on rosters because we have like a 20-man bench, and everybody who's in that league is smart enough to know who belongs on your roster, who doesn't. So if he's out there, yeah, I typically don't like to spend it all. I would say you could go at least half your budget if it's a dynasty league. I think so. I think you pay what you need to pay to get a guy like this, because he will be good for many years. In redraft, it's different, but in dynasty,
right? If you guys are in redraft, don't listen to what I said about drop. Please don't drop all your fab on.
Yeah, this is dynasty. We're talking dynasty.
Yeah, dynasty.
Okay.
Don't come back next week and be like, Chris, you told me to drop all my fab on Puka.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so and then what is the most overlooked waiver wire ad this week? Why is it Zach Moss? Well, look, if you watch the video, then he's not overlooked. I think I put him near the very top of the video, didn't I?
He's.
Are you just not buying it?
Yeah, I don't even if you told me like Jonathan, if right now Adam Schefter dropped a tweet that Jonathan Taylor has been traded, I still don't want Zach Moss. I just don't.
Really?
Like, how good is Zach
Zero
Moss
interest.
going to be in this?
Zero interest.
Zero interest. Zero
Wow.
interest. Like,
well, I mean, I understand not wanting to rely on the Colts backfield, but to me, like right now, it's his because Deion Jackson had pretty much the worst game he could possibly have. Evan Hull is out for who knows how long with a knee injury. Like that's it. He's all they got. But I get like that alone. Like last week, Deion Jackson was it. Okay,
exactly.
Zach Moss was actually good last year when he played, so good-ish.
He's okay.
Good-ish. So
he's good. I mean, he's okay. Like, yeah, like sure, he doesn't belong on waiver wires if he's the guy, but he's not the guy I want. He's like, I don't think at the end of the year we're going to look back and be like, wow, Zach Moss really put teams over the top.
Well, no, I'm not saying he's a league winner. I think this week, okay, most overlooked, yes. I think solid ad, yes. Top priority, no. But these guys are top priorities. But here's the question: who do you like better, Algier?
Oh,
or Josh Kelly?
Definitely Algier. I think Algier is a must add. Look, I don't think this continues all season. I don't think we see this split backfield all season. But I already talked about, I was already saying like Algier is a guy you have to draft because we know if Bijan goes down, I don't care how many touches Zach Moss gets in the Colts backfield. If Bijan goes down, Algier is going to double him in points like every week. Like, you know what I mean? Like Algier will be an absolute difference maker for your fantasy team if Bijan goes down. Please, fantasy gods, no. But if it happens. But also, as I said many times in my videos, I said the other reason I like Algier is because he's still going to have standalone value because this is such a good running game. It's such a good running game. Now, don't expect him to have 2 touchdowns and be a top 5 running back every week, but Kelly without Eckler, I mean, Eckler, I guess, was a little banged up with an ankle in that game, and that's why Kelly got so much run, but like Algier has more standalone value than Kelly, and I don't know if Kelly would even be any better than Algier if both got the opportunity, meaning both the lead backs went down. So I think it has to be Algier. Algier to me, if he's on your waiver wire, is like the number one priority. I mean, unless you're in like some really shallow league, like people have asked about picking up Deontay Johnson and stuff like that. I mean, I know he's hurt right now, but still, like for normal leagues, Algier to me is like the number one pickup.
All right. And I assume, but I'll ask anyways, even if they say right now, like Eckler's looking like highly questionable for this weekend, might not play, you still prefer Algier over Kelly?
Yeah, because people do this a lot. They'll be like, well, Eckler's out this week. I mean, and that's great. You get Joshua Kelly in week 2, and he probably puts up a very nice game and gets you the W. But then next week, Eckler comes back, and Algier is still playing well into week 3, into week 4, into week whatever it is, right? And Kelly's back to being the backup. Like, sure, if they came out and said, like, Eckler's going on IR, then, yeah, Kelly number 1, absolutely. No doubt about it. But that's not the case as of now, and I don't think that's going to be the case. So I'm still going Algier.
No, and it's so hard for people to think long term because you just focus on right here, right now. Oh, but Eckler's out. Yeah, but for how long? And Eckler actually is now. I'm not saying this because it's a fact. I'm just saying hypothetically, which hopefully doesn't happen. But like you said, even if Bijan never ever misses a game, Algier still does have some value. So all right, let's get to the super chats. First one here is Michael Cazares. Thank you. Non-PPR got Mahomes, Chase, and Higgins. Didn't have a good week 1. I can just tell you that right now. He got Pollard, White. You lost J.K. Dobbins. You really didn't have a good week 1. Njoku and Pittman. You bench. You got Gainwell, Chard, Gus, Akers, Deontay. Man, this was a brutal week for you, wasn't it? I'm going to send you like condolences, like a sorry card. Available are those guys? Help.
Okay, I'm going to say right now, I mean, it's non-PPR. It's good it's good that you have Gainwell, because if he hasn't practiced the last 2 days, they only have one more practice. If he doesn't practice tomorrow, we might have to see Swift because they don't have anybody else unless Penny's active. But right now, I feel like Spears and even to some degree Warren are must-add running backs. Spears' usage was incredible. Played almost every third down, was lined up outside like a wide receiver. And this is a guy that, if Derrick Henry goes down, is going to be the early down back plus the third down back, because he's already the third down back. He's the exact type of handcuff you have to have. Like, Spears has to be on your roster right now because, again, and even to a lesser degree, Jaylen Warren, because of the same thing. But I don't think Jaylen Warren's any good as a running back. Like, he's fine. Spears is actually a good running back. He doesn't have a knee, but in the short term, that shouldn't be an issue. Spears, I mean, man, already, getting all the third down run is already super valuable. Not as much in non-PPR, but it's still valuable. But what it means is if Derrick Henry goes down, he's playing every down. Like, it's not like, if somebody last year when whatever, going on too long about this. So I feel like Spears is a must. I feel like Warren is kind of a must. In non-PPR, I'm not going to Myers and Dobbs are okay, but in non-PPR, I'm not going to run out to get him, especially when you have Chase Higgins, Pittman, Judy, Deontay. Like, in non-PPR, you're fine at wide receiver, but I think my top two are Spears and Warren right now. Spears number one for me.
So I'm going to work backwards. Say at receiver, if you can put Deontay on IR, because some leagues, your IR spot can be used for players who are out. So if you can do that without dropping him, then I would fill in that spot with Dobbs in non-PPR. At running back, agree with Spears. He's the guy there. It's super high end handcuff right now, but also getting some action. Like, to me, Warren in non-PPR just doesn't do much for me. He just doesn't. And I like Rashawn Johnson, but again, he's a guy who a lot of his value will come in the passing game. So I'm not as interested in him. So I would take a shot on Spears at running back. And my number two choice might be Mitchell, just as for that upside, that handcuff. Let's go to, before we go to the next super chat, let's address the Puka question, but for redraft. How comfortable would you be spending up?
I mean, first of all, it depends. Like, are you going to, do you need him? Did you just lose Deontay Johnson and I don't even know who else? Like, where you're maybe Christian Watson, maybe you drafted Christian Watson, Deontay Johnson, Jerry Jeudy, and you're not sure any of these guys. Well, Deontay's definitely not going to play, but you're not sure about Watson or Jeudy playing. Then I'd go a little bit higher. But if not, if he's just going to sit on your bench because you already have good wide receivers, I wouldn't go that high, maybe 5% max. Because, again, Cooper Kupp, as of now, we have to assume will be back at some point. And when he does, that's going to really kind of take the wind out of the Puka sails. So if you're desperate and you're like, I need a wide receiver this week, like I might not have one, then I could go maybe up to 7 or 8%. But if he's just going to be on your bench and it's just going to be a guy like, hey, I'm going to keep him on my bench and see what happens. Maybe Kupp never comes back or something. Like 5-ish%, something like
that. Yeah, I think if you do need him or just really, really want him, if it's a deep league or you have a hard time filling that flex spot or something like that, I think you can go up to 10%. Yeah, if you're just grabbing him just to grab him, I still think you can go 7 or 8. Again, because part of it too is you can play defense on the waiver wire, and we talk about this a lot. You don't need to have a guy that, I'm not going to start him, who cares? But you can prevent somebody else from getting that guy. You know what I mean? And so if you have somebody on your bench who's like, whatever, not a lot of upside, go for the guy who could have that upside. You don't have to start him, but at least somebody else doesn't get to start him. You know what I mean? So I always want to try to get the player that, now you don't want to spend too much to do that, but
yeah.
And then another good question from Ed Oled. You didn't think we were going to get a fab defense question, but here we are. Dallas defense won some people their games. They actually did. This is not a fabrication. It is true.
Oh, no, they absolutely won lots of games.
So, with that said, if Dallas defense for some reason didn't get drafted, why was the Dallas defense not drafted if your league uses defenses? But anyways, what percent?
Not a lot. Not a lot. I mean, I don't want to overreact to one game where they had 2 touchdowns
Against Daniel Jones.
I mean, they're probably going to have another big game this week because they play. Who do they play this week? The Jets. So they're probably going to have another big game this week against Zach Wilson.
That's the thing, is they could feast on Zach Wilson this week.
Yeah, but I mean, look, you don't want to drop fab on a defense and then, for weeks 1 and 2. Like, look, Dallas defense will be good most weeks. I'm not saying that, but they're still just a defense. Maybe 3% for me. That's it. Maybe I'm too risk averse with the defense. Like 3%.
Well, I have to say in this case, it depends. I mean, it always depends, but it really depends because defense scoring is not standardized by any means. It really depends how heavily defenses factor into your league settings. How many points do they get per sack, per, points allowed and all of that. So if defenses make a pretty big difference, I think if this is a big upgrade for you, you could go up to 10% to get a defense that could be one of the best defenses. But if your defense isn't, it's just like, hey, I have to play defense, but it's not going to make or break you, don't go over 5. And then Moises Gonzalez did put the super sticker, and here is the question. So 12 team, $100 to spend. This is pretty typical. Again, guys, let me just say this real quick. All your questions and comments, the more detail you give us, the better. If you can tell us if it's a 10 team, 12 team, non-PPR, full PPR, whatever. But we're assuming 12 team for most, although I guess a lot of people play 10 teams. $100 is pretty typical for waivers. So that's what we're assuming when we give our answers. Yeah. We'll usually try percentages, but anyways. Got it. Eckler. That's Eckler. Got Eckler, Dobbins, Waddle, Higgins, and Flowers. Waiver is Algier, Gainwell, Kelly, Nacua, and Kyron. So all of the top options are basically out there.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing. I think Algier is number 1. I mean, you got Waddle, Higgins, and Flowers. This isn't a team that needs Puka.
Right.
I mean, if you can get Puka, fine. But I wouldn't be like breaking the bank to get Puka. I'd probably be willing to go like 10, maybe even 15% for Algier. Especially you lost Dobbins. I mean, he could be your RB2 for the foreseeable future. So I'd probably be willing to go for you. I'd probably be willing to go like $15 for Algier.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you need a running back without Dobbins now. So you have to get one of these guys. Algier's number 1. And to me, I'm looking at the fact that you got Eckler. If Eckler doesn't play, you're going to really be hurting. You might want to make sure you try to grab Kelly also. I don't know who else you could drop besides Dobbins. Obviously none of these guys, but I would try to get both. I would try to get Algier. I would try to get Kelly. And then put a backup bid for Kyron just in case. Although I know Kyron has a really bad matchup this week, but you need to just aim for the running backs. In this case, let somebody else spend up on Puka. Yeah, try to get Algier for sure. And I will say Gainwell is kind of banged up. We're not sure his status, but maybe questionable. Could open the door. So for this reason, RTW, you cannot drop Swift. No, don't drop Swift.
Yeah, I think I overreacted in the panic video and said like he looks like he might be droppable, but don't drop him.
And he looked plenty droppable, but the thing is, Gainwell, not the biggest guy, not the most, not a guy who's used to handling that many touches consistently. He's already banged up after 1 week. So but even besides that, Swift is going to get involved, right? He's not going to be getting 1 touch per game the whole season. That's not why they brought him in. So hold Swift. I'm trying to hold myself back and not saying like, go buy him now. This is it. Buy low before he has whatever. I'm not trying to get there yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if a couple weeks from now everyone's like, oh man, should have seen this coming. We should have got Swift after week 1. So now,
I mean, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either, honestly.
He's a talented guy and supposedly healthy. Now, I will say this. Remember, a lot of people didn't like this. I called it slanderous when I said Josh Allen, not a top 5 fantasy QB this year. Here we are. No, but it was a tough matchup. Josh Allen.
Tough matchup on the road against the Jets. But look, even still, you got a stud running back. And look, it's not like Fields was a whole lot better than Josh Allen this week. I mean, I think he was better than Allen, but it's not like he was awesome. But I mean, you got a quarterback that'll probably be just as good as Josh Allen, but you also got Josh Jacobs. That's a huge win. Huge win.
That's a huge win for sure. Fields and Allen could wind up very similar by the end of the year. And you got Jacobs. So, yeah, huge win. Henry, good job. Anthony Cervantes needs one running back and one flex. So we're doing start sit here. Connor, Najee, MT, Dotson. And then there's also Rachaad White or B. Robinson. Don't think you can start Robinson this week. Who do you like the best?
At running back, I'm going Najee. I don't hate the matchup against Cleveland. I think he'll be better. For flex, is it crazy that I'm going to say Connor? I just do not like Robinson's matchup this week. I know Rachaad White has a good matchup, but man, I did not like the use. I mean, look, he got the volume. He got 17 carries, but I did not like only 2 catches. Maybe that'll change. It's also hard to see him scoring a touchdown in this offense, man. I mean, I know they scored touchdowns, but it's not like they got near the goal line to do it. But does Connor really even have a bigger ceiling than Rachaad White? Maybe.
Oh, Rachaad White. And, I don't think we had a little discussion about him in the Discord today. And I don't think it's just him personally. Well, you and I have talked about this. I don't remember if it was live or if it was on a video. I don't remember when we talked about it, but just not too long ago, Rachaad White, just the Bucs running game the last couple of years just hasn't been. It doesn't matter who the running back is. Their run blocking has just not been working. I mean, I don't know why, but I would say, yeah, I like Connor actually a fair bit this week. Connor for me is the RB at flex. I can't put MT in there just yet. Dotson kind of let us down, didn't he?
Yeah, and also, I mean, you can't love the matchup for Dotson this week against Denver.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like it should be Dotson. I guess I'm going to go Connor also. All right, there you go. Connor Najee. This one stood out. Angel Gonzalez, Garrett Wilson trade. And then here your Garrett Wilson trade, so put him up there. Traded Stevenson for Garrett Wilson, Cortland Sutton, and Brian Robinson.
I mean, I really think right now Stevenson for Garrett Wilson seems fair. Just those two straight up. I know people are going to say like, oh, Garrett Wilson was a first, second round pick and Stevenson was a fourth. But yeah, that's because he had Aaron Rodgers. It's because he had Aaron Rodgers. He wouldn't have been a first round pick if he still had Zach Wilson. No way. So, I mean, I'm assuming you got Wilson, Sutton, and Robinson. So I guess it's kind of a win for you. Because I think right now Stevenson for Garrett Wilson feels fair. And you got Sutton and Robinson too thrown in there. So, yeah, it's a win for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love trading away Ramondre right now. He's a guy, if anything, seems like a good buy low. But, yeah, Garrett Wilson will still be good, if not great anymore this year. Sutton's not a guy I'm actively targeting, but you got him. He's playable. Robinson, solid. So I think overall you came away with a pretty decent haul. All right, Powerhouse. 3 streaming defenses for week 2. All right, not just one.
Well,
you're gonna okay. I'll have to break
you can't give us the options that are on your waiver wire.
Well, yeah, I mean streaming. Well, it depends who's streamable. It depends who's available in your league. I'm gonna have to check the schedule if I'm going for 3.
Yeah, let me see. Let me check. I'll check my home league and see what because I'm not in a lot of defense leagues.
I mean, we just saw somebody say that Dallas defense was available just on waivers. So like,
I mean, obviously, if Dallas is available, I think the Giants, they're out there in 9. They're only rostered in 9% of the leagues. They get Arizona this week. That sounds pretty good.
Yep.
Colts against Houston, only 2%. Tampa against Chicago, only 21%. And look, Fields will still take sacks and throw picks.
And then gotta like Cleveland's defense, not just they look great last week, but the Steelers' offense looked terrible, and without Deontay Johnson. So I don't think Steelers will be as bad, but Cleveland's still a good option there too. I like that Tampa pick.
Yeah, Cleveland. I gave you 4: Cleveland, New York Giants, Tampa, and Houston. Indy. Houston's not bad too against Anthony Richardson, but Anthony Richardson did some stuff last week. I'd probably prefer the Indy side against Houston because, I don't expect CJ Stroud to do a whole lot.
Right. All right, there you go. 4 choices, and then Musgrave, worth an ad.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Not the top of the tight end streaming heap, but he's kind of in the middle there. He's definitely an option, so he might be the best option depending on your waiver wire. Alex Soberone just got Jalen Hurts for Josh Allen straight up.
I mean, big win. Like, nobody was anybody drafting Josh Allen ahead of Jalen Hurts. Big win right there. Big win.
These kind of things always just confuse me because if the guy who did this trade with you, he wanted Allen, but was he? I don't know. I'm not going to try to figure it out. I don't know. It's like if you wanted Josh Allen, why don't you just draft Josh Allen? Maybe he wasn't there. Maybe you took him first. Maybe Josh Allen did go before Jalen Hurts in this draft. Who knows? Maybe. And he's got AJ Brown. That just makes it a little nicer every time you see them connect for a touchdown. So, yeah, I think this is the win. I'm definitely saying Hurts way above Josh Allen this week. Paul Byer-Bent, 10-team PPR. Thoughts on this team? Moves to make, waiver ideas. Got Burrow, got Pollard, Madison, Chase, Lamb, Hawk, Debo. And on the bench, got Hall, Cook, Swift, Shane, London, and OBJ.
I mean, this is a good team. I know this team probably didn't do great for you last week because of Burrow and Chase and Lamb and Debo. But you got a lot of good pieces here. Had to like. We didn't talk about James Cook, but had to like what you saw from James Cook last night. I mean, we were telling everybody don't start him because it's a tough matchup, but that usage was very encouraging. I did not think, I thought Damian Harris would get, be the guy, and James Cook would be the change of pace guy. James Cook got a lot of run last night, so I like this team a lot. I think this team, probably struggled week 1, but I think this team is going to be just fine. I'm not starting. I'd probably start James Cook over Madison this week personally. Madison, brutal matchup, and dude, he was bad last week. He just got lucky with. I mean, I should say he got lucky. He broke a tackle. He earned that touchdown. I mean, he earned it. But if he didn't score that touchdown, he was going to be brutal last week.
Yeah, I think this team will be fine. I mean, you got tremendous upside at receiver, and you got Pollard. Burrow will be fine. And I really like what you built depth-wise at running back because you're like Madison, for a 10-team league. But then you got 3 guys who could replace him at RB2. So you're good. Yeah, bench Madison this week for Cook. And then just hold on to London. Don't worry about London. I will say in a 10-team, and I'm pretty sure you'll agree, you don't have to keep OBJ.
No, you do not. You do not have to keep OBJ.
Yeah, you don't need it. And so in this case, I think based on the bench, you probably should chase another receiver. So this might be a team that why not go out and get Puka or whoever else is the best receiver available. Joe Castles.
What's up, Joe?
All right, pick one. We got Puka. We got Zay Jones, 2-2, which, you know what? I feel like we really haven't given his due respect, given him his airtime.
He had a nice game.
A big game. He's on that same team. And then there's Rashid Shaheed. I'm going to pretend I don't see that name, Devontae Parker.
No. I do not like Devontae Parker for a stash.
all decent options. Look, like Tutu. There's a reason why I didn't mention Tutu with the other guys, right? We don't really expect it to happen again that often. Like, he's
Yeah, I'm not
interesting, but
really going. He's not
he's
really.
bottom of this pile, right?
I'm torn between Zay Jones and Shaheed, to be honest. Because I mean, look, I thought Calvin Ridley was going to kill Zay Jones's value, but apparently it's going to kill Christian Kirk's value.
Apparently.
But I've liked Shaheed. I liked Shaheed all off season. I kept talking about him as a sleeper, as like a guy to draft late with Derek Carr. And nothing about week 1 changed my mind. If anything, it made me like him even more. I think all 3 of those guys are fine. I guess I would put Zay Jones 1 just because he's on Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, and he's the guy in 2 wide receiver sets, which means he's going to get the majority of the snaps. So I'd probably go, if it's me, I'd go Jones 1, Shaheed 2, Nacua 3, Atwell 4.
Yeah, this is a team, and if those guys are all out there, probably most people will be bidding up for Puka. Go ahead and get a guy like Shaheed or Zay Jones who could be just as productive. I'm going to stick with Shaheed because I was encouraged. Look, you have to be encouraged about what you saw from Zay Jones, but that offense will also have some ups and downs. I'm still gonna kind of assume at some point it's possible Michael Thomas misses time. Shaheed getting those deep targets, Derek Carr throwing those deep targets. I feel like it's a match made in heaven. So I go Shaheed 1, Zay Jones 2, and then Puka, and then Atwell. And I'm gonna again just try to see if I can erase that last part there. It doesn't exist. Pat Rice, drop OBJ for Josh Kelly.
Yes.
Definitely do that. Let's see. What about the Demon Slayer? Demon Slayer 25 to be specific. I have Ramondre and Rachaad White as my RBs, second in waiver order. Good idea to pick up Algier. Yeah, I think we made that clear.
Yes, definitely.
Would trading White for Gibbs make sense?
Yeah, it would make a lot of sense. If somebody will give you Jahmyr Gibbs for Rachaad White, do it.
Yeah. I mean, if you can pull that off, go right now and do it, and then come back and tell us that he did it.
Yeah.
And you know what? It wouldn't surprise me because, people panic very quickly. Gibbs, whoever has Gibbs might be like, this guy is not going to pan out. He's going to be a bum, which then makes you question why they drafted him. But still, try it, see what happens, negotiate, see if you can get Gibbs. Alex with another one, Alex Silverone. Jalen Hurts, Bijan, Bijan Rob, Kenneth Walker, AJ Brown, Amari Cooper, Ingram, Pierce, Pickens, Charbonnet, McLaurin, Kamara, Deontay Johnson, Puka. What do you think? This is a 10-team half PPR.
It's another very good team. I mean, yeah, you got a good quarterback, you got good running backs, you got good wide receivers, you got a good tight end. You got Pierce, Pickens, Charbonnet, McLaurin just chilling on your bench. Deontay's going to chill on your bench for a few weeks. Kamara's going to chill on your bench for a couple more weeks, and maybe beyond that, we'll see how good he is. Unless there's somebody really, really good on your waiver wire, like a guy who should have been drafted but wasn't, I don't think I can drop any of these guys. I think that's one thing. I'm going to go on a little side rant here real quick. But I think that's one thing about waiver wires that a lot of people make mistakes with. They just feel like they have to pick up the waiver guys that week. Like, I know, I got to get Puka, or I got to get Algier, or I got to get whoever. But if you have a team like this where you have good players, you don't have to make a waiver move. Just roll with your good players again. You know what I mean? And there's nobody on this roster that I feel like you have to drop or that you even should drop. Honestly, the only guy I would say is Puka, but you're going to drop Puka for Puka? No. So, you know what I mean? I would not drop anybody. If I had this team, I'm not dropping anybody.
This must be like rolling free agency or early waivers or something. If you already got Puka, it's a 10-team league. I seriously doubt he drafted Puka, So, no, exactly what my thought. There's nobody here I would drop or that you need to pick up. Trade, I don't see where you would improve. I mean, I really don't. I guess it turns out fortunate you had Deontay Johnson, but you do also have George Pickens at the same time, so you kind of get the beneficiary there. I mean, that's fine. No, I wouldn't mess with this team, really. There's not much you can do. And it's not like the guys on your bench, well, you can, maybe trade and package those. The guys on your bench have no trade value. That's the problem.
Right.
Deontay Johnson's out for a few weeks. Kamara's out for 2 weeks. McLaurin looked bad. Charbonnet didn't play. So just hold pat and you're good for now. Other John, for week 2, is this a serious decision here, starting Fields or Richardson?
Yeah, I'm not ready to do that yet. I'm still rolling with Fields. Still rolling with Fields. I gotta think the Bears offense will be better this week. It's not the best matchup, but I gotta think they'll figure some things out and be better. They'll get the ball to DJ Moore. Let's hope. I'm going Fields. Still going Fields.
I mean, I'm willing to admit Anthony Richardson looked a little better than I expected early on, but I'm not willing to start him, especially if I have Justin Fields. I'll go with Justin Fields. So, and then we got a super chat here from Marcus. Appreciate that. Have not yet found if there's a comment or question to go with it. So if and when we get to that, we'll put it up there. But if not, then we'll just say thank you. We'll hopefully get back to that. Which, by the way, if you did drop a super chat anytime the last 20 minutes or so, don't worry, we're getting there. We're working our way towards it. So we guarantee we will answer all those super chats. Let's go to Byzinski.
What's up? I remember Byzinski from last year.
That's right. Well, that's a lot. Lost JK. How much then on guys like Gainwell, Kyron would you recommend?
Well, I'm not going to go too crazy on Gainwell now because we already banged up with a rib issue, and like they play on Thursday. If he doesn't practice tomorrow, that means he's out. So you're not even going to have him first game. I'd still throw a little bit on him because, even if he's out this week, maybe this is one of those situations where like 1 week it's all Gainwell and the next week it's all Swift. Who knows? Who knows what's going on over there in Philly? I wouldn't go too crazy on Kyron either. I mean, maybe Kyron can take over this backfield, but I mean, what is that even worth? What is taking over this backfield even worth? I mean, I know he got 2 touchdowns, but didn't do a whole lot outside of that. I don't know. I'd probably be like, I'm not going crazy for these guys. I'm
Right.
going somewhere between 3 to 5% on these guys. And if I don't get them, oh well, no biggie.
I mean, I don't feel like either of these guys are like, okay, well, you thought J.K. Dobbins was going to be your every week RB2 going forward. I don't feel like either of these guys is going to be an every week RB2 going forward. Either one. Maybe, if Akers is out, like just either completely out, like because he's hurt, or completely in the doghouse, like Sean McVay's I've seen enough or something like that. It's just too early to say that. And I don't think Gainwell is going to be like the guy. He's not going to be a bell cow back going forward. It's just not how it's going to work. So I think you can go up to 5%, but for those guys, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I know not a super chat, but I think we can answer this quickly from Lotus Productions. Should I drop? Let's just go one by one. Rashad Penny.
I mean, I want to say yes. He was a healthy scratch, but if Gainwell's out, he's probably going to have to be active.
I'll say yes. You could drop Rashad Penny,
Okay.
or give them another week because of their massive upside. I mean, how massive is the upside for Penny when he's going to be at best in a committee injury history? I'll say yes. You can drop him. Charbonnet.
No, dropping Charbonnet.
Should not drop Charbonnet. Tony.
Yeah, you can drop Tony.
You should have already dropped Tony. Yes. Should have dropped Tony yesterday. All right. What about RJ Colo? Is Lamb a buy low, or will the defense kind of keep him limited because they're so good that they don't need to pass the ball?
Well, I mean, if you expect every game to go like it did on Sunday night and they're winning 40-0, then yeah, don't trade for CeeDee Lamb. I don't think we're going to see that the rest of the year. Like, they're a good defense, but I mean, look, the Patriots, Devonta Smith had a touchdown, and how many catches? AJ Brown did what against the Patriots? And they're an elite defense. So, I mean, they're not gonna, they don't get to play Daniel Jones and the Giants every week. There's gonna be plenty of games where they have to throw. And another thing that was nice is that even when they were up big, they were still throwing the ball. They're still throwing it. They didn't go in like that's just not what they do. So yeah, I think Lamb's a buy low if you can. Yes.
Although I do have to remind you, they're going to play Zach Wilson and the Jets this week.
Okay, maybe he doesn't have a big game this week again, but I mean, like,
I know what you're saying though. I really don't think they're gonna like just dominate every game, every opponent. No, I mean is this Cowboys defense that much better than last year? I thought last year they were already one of the best defenses. Like it's just they were still good, and Lamb still had a really good season. So no, I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, if you can buy him low, yeah, go ahead and do it. But I don't see anybody going on and say like, oh man, I'm really worried about CeeDee Lamb after last week.
Yeah, I think most people understand like, okay, the game, like they just didn't have to throw in that game. They're not like, it's not like Drake London where like he only got one target. People are panicking.
And now look at this. He says he just traded. I'm assuming we're talking about James Cook for Gibbs.
I mean, I think that's I think that's a win. I think right now you still got to take Gibbs. As much as I like James Cook, I think you still got to take Gibbs.
Oh, yeah.
I know people are panicking on Gibbs because of week one, but nothing about what I saw from Gibbs in week one changed my mind about his long-term outlook this year. In fact, if anything, it made me feel better about him. Like, okay, he looked great.
Mm-hmm.
And when the touches come, so will the fantasy points.
Exactly. And I like James Cook a lot in the draft season, but I would take Gibbs over him.
Yeah.
What about Stephen Drake's lost Deontay? Would you rather pick up Dobbs or Puka?
Definitely Dobbs. I mean, at worst, Dobbs is the number 2 wide receiver behind Christian Watson. At best, he's the number 1 wide receiver until Christian Watson comes back. Again, first of all, we don't even know, like, this week, tough matchup for the Rams. Who do the Rams play this week? 49ers. What if Puka goes out there and they just shut Puka down completely because they're the 49ers, and that's kind of what they do. You know what I mean? And the Puka steam is gone after 2 weeks. Definitely Dobbs.
Yeah, I like Dobbs. I mean, I like Dobbs. I talked about Dobbs a lot this preseason. Puka's a guy we heard some noise about. So maybe he has a role. I mean, his role was definitely bigger than we thought it would be. And I'm not going to just completely dismiss that performance. It was legit. He was legit. And his target share was legit. That's the thing. But they passed it a ton. I mean, maybe they'll keep doing that going forward. Maybe they feel like they have to, even with Kupp out. But it's not guaranteed Puka's going to continue, that kind of pace. So I like them both, but I would say I would pick up Dobbs too. And then let's see, Steven, Canadian Steven. Lamar is my QB1. Richardson on the bench. Should I trade AR for an RB?
Okay, this is one of the biggest edges that somehow still exists in fantasy football. Trading a QB that you're probably never going to play for a startable running back or wide receiver or whatever it is just a huge advantage in fantasy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who you're going to trade him for. You're not saying here, but as long as don't trade him for like Joshua Kelly or like, if it's a running back, like a solid RB2 that you could potentially have in your lineup, in good matchups or maybe even every week. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, look, I know he wasn't great in week 1, but you're probably not going to really need Richardson if you have Lamar. So, yeah, I definitely do it. And then we got Julian Herrera. 12-man PPR. Herbert, Ridley, Jefferson, Henry, Robinson, Hunter Henry, and then Sutton. Flex McLaurin on the bench. You got JT and Kamara. What do you think about this roster?
Oh, so you don't really have a bench right now.
I mean, that's it. That's your whole bench.
I don't know which Robinson that is. I mean, you got, look, since you have Jefferson and Derrick Henry, I'm going to assume it's Brian Robinson because it's a 12-team league.
It's a 12-man league.
Yeah, but we saw some crazy teams before the season started, rate my teams, where it's like they'd have Jefferson, whatever. Garrett Wilson. I mean, I know it doesn't look good now, but at the time it looked great. You know what I mean? They'd have some crazy teams where it's like, how did you get all those guys on the same team? So I'm going to assume Brian Robinson, but it's still a very good team. I mean, Ridley, Jefferson, those guys look, we know Jefferson's a monster. Ridley looks like he's going to be a monster. Hunter Henry looks fine for now. He might be fine all season, honestly, because do we expect this Patriots passing attack to all of a sudden get a bunch of weapons as the season goes on? Henry might be a good tight end. He might be that guy this year. There's always a tight end that nobody was really on all year, and then he ends up being like a top 10 tight end or something. He might be that guy. You got a good QB. Sutton and McLaurin at flex don't overly excite me, but they're fine. But look, if Kamara comes back and is halfway decent and JT comes back at all, and they're your flexes, this team will be really good.
Yeah, and I think assuming it's Brian Robinson based on the makeup of your roster, I think you want to hold on to JT and hope that he can fill that second RB spot. I would say if there's a guy that you might want to entertain trade offers for, it would be Sutton. Because he has some value. Judy's still hurt, and he just scored a touchdown. Not expecting a big season, so I would say that is the guy I would kind of dangle out there. And if you have to package him, with Kamara to get a decent running wide receiver or something, that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Actually, I was going to say that. This is something I keep saying for people who have Kamara. After week 3, I am going to advise everybody who has Alvin Kamara to trade Alvin Kamara because people are still really excited about Alvin Kamara and think we're going to get 2019, 2020, whatever year it was. They think that Kamara still exists, and he doesn't. And right now you're not going to get a lot for Kamara because they're like, he's missing the next 2 games. But after week 3, when he's coming back, his value is going to go way up. I think he'll be a great sell high.
There you go. So, Sutton Kamara trade to try to get a solid flex, around that range. You could get at least, if you package them both, you should maybe even get like a wide receiver 2 type. Just depends. And then I know we're still catching up on those super chats. Bear with us, but I feel like we want to help Daniel out. It says new to fantasy. It's about time. Traylon Burks. Would you do a waiver? Well, it's not a trade, but would you pick up Puka?
Oh man. I want to say no, but I am not liking Traylon Burks right now. And nothing against Traylon Burks. I think he's a very good player. But look, they just went out there. It was like, did D-Hop put in this contract, you have to throw me the ball every other time? Like, if I don't get a 50% target share, like, I quit. Like, it wasn't like they were having success. He got 7 of his 13 passes. It wasn't like, every time they go to D-Hop, something good happened. Like, they just kept throwing the ball over and over and over again, and just it wasn't even working, but they kept doing it. So I'm a little bit worried about Traylon Burks. Like, is he over there like, hey, guys, like, hey, Ryan, I'm open. Just in case you need me, I'm open over here. You know what I mean? Like when you used to play with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
between Hopkins and Henry, it's not a lot of touches left in an offense that doesn't really run that many plays.
Right, but can I do this though? Can I drop Traylon Burks for Puka? Is that going too far?
I feel like it is. Again, I feel like you're looking short term versus long term here.
Yeah, probably is.
I'm holding Burks personally if it's me. And then we got another one from the Demon Slayer. 10-team half PPR. Got Herbert, Ramondre, Rashad White, Chase, CD, Cooper, and Cooper's the flex, and then Kittle. For this team, 10-team, worth picking up Algier. Also try to trade White for Gibbs. Yes.
For any team, it's worth picking up Algier.
There you go.
Any team. I don't care how many teams are in your league. I don't care what your roster looks like. Any team can use a guy like Tyler Algier. And if you could trade White for Gibbs, absolutely do it. Look, I like Rashad White. I talked about him a lot this offseason, but in no draft did I take him ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs. And after week 1, like that hasn't changed. I still would prefer Jahmyr Gibbs over Rashad White.
Yeah. I mean, we answered this earlier. If you can get Gibbs for White, do it. Yeah, I mean, I think White could play better against the Bears, but I'd rather have Gibbs. And then, yes, definitely worth picking up Algier. And again, even if you're like, well, I'm not going to start him. Oh, well, you have him on your bench and you might need to start him at some point.
Yeah.
Buys happen. Obviously, injuries happen. And then at the very least, you stop somebody else from getting him. So just don't drop anybody really good for him.
I'm not going to start him. Famous last words from everybody who had J.K. Dobbins, including myself.
Yeah. J.K. Dobbins. So. Embry Outdoors traded Tua and Khalil Herbert for Etienne because you already had Watson. All right. So traded him to the Rodgers owner. Worked out. This is what you were talking earlier, right?
Yeah.
You got a backup quarterback, although I guess technically I hope you started him last week, but you traded a second quarterback to get a stud running back. That's a huge win.
Huge win. Yeah, huge win. And
this is coming from probably the biggest Tua fan you'll see on this channel. And
yeah, definitely.
Maybe Tua, has that breakout season, but you already have Watson, who is going to be good, and you got Etienne. Yeah. This helps your fantasy team, right?
Yes.
Because let's face it, Tua probably won't throw for 460 yards every week.
No, maybe not again this year.
Maybe not. All right, let's go down to. There's Marcus. All right, remember Marcus earlier. Here's the chat. This is a 10-team full PPR. Got Herbert, Eckler, Barkley, Tyreek, Higgins, and Njoku Gibbs. This is a good starting lineup. On the bench, Swift, Kelly, Algier. I see somebody's been busy. He also got Puka and Hunter Henry. You picked up all the guys on the waiver wire. Okay, so on IR, he also has Cup and JT. This team, look, Marcus, I just want to stop before we get to your question, give you some huge props because, number one, you drafted a really good team. And number two, you did the work already. You already got the guys that you already know you should have gotten. I guess you watched the video or maybe you just knew coming in. Anyways, and he stashed it done. Okay. Worry on Higgins, though.
Nah, not worried at all on Higgins, but this is what I'm talking about. I mean, I know the other team was a 12-teamer, but even in a 10-team league, how do you get Tyreek Hill, Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, T. Higgins, and Justin Herbert, and Jahmyr Gibbs? How do you get all those guys on the same team? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6 picks. That's 6 rounds. I mean, unless you somehow had your league was like, here, you get 2 first round. Like that's 6 rounds that you got like guys that all went in the 3rd or 4th round of pretty much every draft. So yeah, well done. And then you still have Cup and JT on the bench. Yeah. Not worried about Higgins though, by the way. Not worried at all.
Yeah, it's still, unless this is like a keeper league or something, it boggles the mind. You got 2 guys who are first rounders, but you got them both. And then Barkley was usually a second rounder. Yeah. Okay. So no, don't worry about Higgins. You have nothing to upgrade. You've already done your work. You're good. All right. And then huge super chat from JG. Thank you very much. We definitely appreciate it. So we need to replace Wilson. Which Wilson? Are we talking Garrett Wilson?
Yeah, which Wilson? Don't drop Garrett Wilson.
No, don't drop him.
I mean, think of another Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson, but I mean,
well, you're talking receivers here, though. These are all receivers. So, okay, let me just, let's talk him off the ledge first. Don't drop Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson.
So, okay, don't drop Garrett Wilson. Now, if you want to add somebody because you're worried about Garrett Wilson or you just want to know who to add, let's just do this. Okay, so out of these guys, which are some pretty good options, Shaheed, Myers, Sutton, Puka, and Elijah Moore, who do you like the best, or maybe we could even rank them?
I think I probably like Elijah Moore the best. I know the Browns passing game didn't do a whole lot in week 1, but that's going to change. And he was involved. You had to have liked what you saw from him playing out of the slot. He got involved. He's talented. I think I'd probably have him 1. I'd have Myers 2. Because again, I mean, look, when he first signed with the Raiders, well, I don't remember who signed first. him or Jimmy G. But either way, once we knew Jacoby Myers and Jimmy G were on the same team, which I forget the order it went, I was like, wow, Jacoby Myers fits perfectly with Jimmy G. Like, he runs a lot of the routes Jimmy G loves to throw. And we saw that on Sunday. So I think I have Myers 2.
I think the question is, how low are you on Puka? Because you're not wanting to spend up on him, and you got all these guys who are mostly established guys. I mean, a lot of these guys
Puka
are
would be
just already
last.
drafted
Puka's
in leagues.
last for me out of this list, to be honest. Puka's last. Maybe I could put him over Sutton, but I mean, Sutton's going to be an every week starter every week of the season.
Yeah.
Puka, we just don't know. So I'd probably, like, Shaheed and Sutton are close for me. Shaheed more the upside guy, so I'd probably go him, then Sutton, then Puka. That would probably be my order.
Yeah. So if you close your eyes and pretend week 1 hasn't happened, then it's Elijah Moore, clearly. Drafting him in the middle rounds. Got great upside there with Deshaun Watson. So Moore is number 1. I think Myers has jumped up to number 2 for me as well, because we saw how much he got targeted. That's the thing. The target share. And, well, he might miss next week. Okay, so what? That's next week. But unless you happen to really need a guy to start next week, which you really shouldn't, because you should still be starting Garrett Wilson probably. So number 2 is Myers. I think my order is kind of the same as yours. I think I'll put Shaheed 3, Sutton 4, and then Puka 5. So, but let me. I don't know if you missed this. Don't drop Garrett Wilson. Like, nobody out there, don't drop Garrett Wilson.
Don't drop Garrett Wilson, please.
If it's Russell Wilson,
it's not that bad with Zach Wilson.
No, if it's Russell Wilson, definitely drop him. If it's Zach Wilson, then we need a whole separate discussion about why he's on your roster to begin with. Rise, what's up, Rise? Add Mayfield or Sam Howell to replace Aaron Rodgers.
Oh man. There's no those are your options.
Apparently. Or, hypothetically, maybe Zach Wilson too.
Yeah, Zach Wilson. Oh boy.
Or Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers, Colin Kaepernick, Tony Romo.
Colin Kaepernick. I guess Sam Howell. I mean, yeah, I'm just not doing it with Baker. I'm not doing. Give me Sam Howell. Sam Howell, I guess.
It's Sam Howell, but man, condolences. I'm gonna send you a card too. We need a graphic or a GIF or something with fancy football is pain. It just says pain, like a stamp or something, that when we get one of these questions, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll work on that. Christian Columbus. Hertz, Chubb, Walker, Gibbs. Nice. Tyler or Taylor? Is that Jonathan Taylor? Maybe it's Taylor. Chase Diggs, Flex, Olave, Goddard, got Ayuk, Tyler again, and Tua on the bench. Trade ideas. What do you think of this team?
Got really good running backs. Got great wide receiver, fantastic wide receivers. I mean, Chase Diggs, Olave, fantastic. Look, I know Goddard was terrible in week 1, but he'll be better. Goddard will be better. I'm not worried about Goddard. No. Ayuk just chilling on your bench, like no big deal. Yeah, I don't see anything you can really do. I mean, you got Tua just chilling on your bench. I mean, I would try to trade Tua. I don't know what you would trade him for, though. I don't even know. Like, what do you really need?
Nothing.
I mean, if you can,
his team does not need anything.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm envisioning an 8-team league here. There's no way you can have all these players because, again, Chase and Diggs are both first rounders. Not sure how you have them both. And then you got Chubb and Hurts. Oh, by the way, yeah. So there's absolutely nothing you could, I don't think, even possibly do to improve this team unless you somehow combine like Walker and one of your receivers like Ayuk to get a stud running back like a Pollard or something. But no, like, you're good.
Yeah.
No trade ideas here. Like, don't trade those guys. Sabesan. Is Ritter worth picking up if you lost Rodgers?
Not really. He looked no. There's got to be. I'd probably sadly take Baker over Ritter.
I almost want to say I might even take Zach Wilson over Ritter. Man, he's just not going to throw the ball. He will throw more sometimes, right? They didn't really need to throw the ball, so I won't go that far. But I hope you have somebody else who's a better option. Yeah, I'd lean Baker at this point. I mean, it really depends who else your other options are. If you want to add in there, you can put another separate comment there. You don't have to super chat it if you want. Just say like, who are your options? But preferably not Ritter. Then we got one from Viper Bite, but there's no question attached. So give me a second, Viper. Looking to see if your comment is before or after your super chat. If not, we're going to keep it moving so that we catch up or start to try to catch up. All right, Viper, we'll be on the lookout for your. Oh, there it is. I see it. It's separate. All right, so PPR 10, need 1 off waivers. Usual suspects. Also, is it worth dropping Sutton to get one of these guys?
Well, to start with, like I keep saying, Algier is a must. Algier is a must. Would I drop Sutton? I might drop Sutton for Zay Jones. Like, are we really expecting Sutton to be better than Zay Jones?
You know what? That's perfectly reasonable if you think about it. The 1A, 1B, whatever in Denver versus the number 2 guy in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, the team that actually throws the ball down the field more than 2 yards.
Yeah. I think I would. So
yeah.
I would definitely Algier, and I would drop Sutton for Zay Jones. Yes.
There you go. If you, for some reason, can't get Algier, I'd still put in a claim for Kelly and see how that works.
Yeah.
Then we got the intern of war. Is Gibson dust?
I mean, it's hard to say a 24-year-old running back is dust. He just didn't get used. I mean, I certainly think you can drop Antonio Gibson for the right player. Like, I would not be dropping Antonio Gibson for, I don't know, Zach Moss. Like, I'm not dropping Antonio Gibson for Zach Moss. Like, I'll just wait and see with Antonio Gibson. But I would definitely drop him for a guy like Tyler Algier or somebody like that.
Yeah, he's not a must hold because, again, his upside was never sky high, splitting time with Ryan Robinson. But don't drop just to drop. But now I'm glad you mentioned Algier. Just how high are you on Algier in Dynasty? Or should I ask how low are you? What do you think of this from Ocartez? Would you drop Dalvin Cook for Algier in Dynasty? And that's the perfect emoji.
How is Tyler Algier still available in a Dynasty league? That's what I want to know.
That's a fair question.
Like, did he just get like as soon as they drafted Bijan, like the Tyler Algier owner just rage dropped him? Like, no.
He's like, well, this is trash now. Like,
like that Michael Scott gift. No. When he sees Toby, no, God, no. Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, he didn't look great last night or anything, but I don't think you can drop Dalvin Cook. I mean, why not somebody else or trade Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, or just you don't have. There's nobody else you can drop for Algier. Because here's what I worry about for dropping Dalvin Cook. You drop Dalvin Cook, he's getting picked up. Probably. I mean, and then if Dalvin Cook ends up, putting up some nice games, you're going to really be kicking yourself for dropping Dalvin Cook. I mean, I would prefer Algier in Dynasty, but look, I mean, Algier may have no value next year. Let's be real. Like, if Bijan eventually takes over this backfield, which he probably will, Algier might not have any value next year. So I'd look for somebody else to drop if possible.
I mean, if I'm you, I want to get Algier, especially in Dynasty, but I don't want to drop Dalvin Cook to do it. So hopefully there's got to be somebody else. Let's see if there's any other options you got. You can let us know also in the chat. We'll see what we can do about that. But let's go to Jesus Sosa, B. Robinson. I'm hoping that's Brian Robinson and Christian Watson for Ridley, a good trade. If it's Bijan Robinson, that's not a good trade.
Yeah. I'm going to assume Brian Robinson, and if so, I think that's a great trade. I think it's a great trade. I'm going to assume Brian Robinson is like a bench running back for you. And look, I like Brian Robinson. He'll have value in the right matchups, but but he's not a guy that you're going to like an every week starter. Look, I know it's only 1 week, and I do like Christian Watson, but we talked up Calvin Ridley, maybe not all offseason, but like the second half of the offseason, we were really talking up Calvin Ridley, taking him in the second round. People saying like, oh, that's you're crazy. That's way too early for him. This is why. And look, it's week 1. Maybe he'll be terrible the rest of the year, but man, right now you got to look at him and say, this guy, I mean, it's not like, this isn't like Puka, like out of nowhere, like no one expected this. Like, oh, Puka, who's he? This is a guy we know is a stud wide receiver. He was a stud wide receiver in Atlanta. He was a stud wide receiver in college. He was drafted to be a stud wide receiver. Like, he's a stud wide receiver, and he's got Trevor Lawrence. So give me Ridley. He looks like the real deal.
Yeah. So again, if that's Bijan Robinson, no, don't do this trade. Don't trade Bijan. If it's Brian Robinson, yes, do this trade. Austin Cross making moves. You should always be making moves. All right. So bought low on Adams and Cup. Nice. Already have Lamb. Got Jones, Connor, and Rashawn. Should I trade a defense, the Cowboys defense, for an RB?
Yes, please. Yes.
Like, doesn't even matter which RB.
I mean, it matters. Like, I'm not going to trade the Dallas defense again for like
Gainwell or somebody.
Gainwell or Zach Moss or something. But if it's a running back that could potentially be an every week starter for you, then yes, I am trading the Cowboys defense 100%. I will go happily just stream defenses.
You read my mind. You know what, guys? There's a thing. You don't have to have the same defense in your lineup all year, just like you don't for running backs. You don't even have to have that same defense on your roster every week. You drop and then you pick up. It works. Not every week. Like, you're going to be wrong sometimes, but guess what? That amazing defense that you thought was going to be a top 10 defense, sometimes they're bad too, right? Pittsburgh defense. Okay. This is now Jonathan Yick. Thoughts on this team? Got Watson and Cousins. Garrett Wilson, Keenan Allen, Godwin, and MT. Pollard, Sanders, Khalil Herbert, Mark Andrews. So in this situation, would you try to trade Garrett Wilson for a guy like Debo Pittman Hopkins?
I might. I mean, maybe for Debo. I know Debo don't have a good first game, but I feel like he has the most upside. I know Pittman had a great week 1, but Pittman had a great week 1 last year too with Matt Ryan. So
I forgot.
It doesn't mean he's going to have a great 17 weeks. I hope he does, but I'm just saying, like, just because he had a nice week 1 doesn't mean he's going to have, continue to have good games. I might trade him for Debo.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking Debo
or Hopkins, though.
Yeah, I would rather have Debo. And then I like you put all very reasonable, fair. These are all fair options for Garrett Wilson at this point. I mean, you hate to feel like you're selling low because you kind of are, but you also want a guy that you can feel better about in your lineup. So I think this is reasonable. You could do that. Thoughts on the team overall? Still competitive?
Yeah, I mean, you don't really need Cousins with Deshaun Watson, but I mean, you got Keenan Allen. I mean, your wide receivers, like, your wide receivers went from like a little bit of a ceiling to now just like a bunch of floor guys, I feel like. Because Wilson now, sadly, is probably a floor guy. Keenan, I feel like, is a floor guy. Godwin, definitely a floor guy. MT, definitely a floor guy. So that makes me kind of want Debo even more. Because Debo, has a ceiling at least. So, I mean, I still think your team should be competitive, but man, it definitely hurts. Definitely hurts.
It does hurt. You might need some more running back depth as well. So if you're going to drop whichever quarterback, then maybe pick up another running back off of waivers as well. So we'll see. We'll see if things can get you through. Hope Mark Andrews comes through for you. And then let's go to Byzinski again. Is Gus a better option than, I guess, Kyron Williams? I'm going to guess. Or Kenneth Gainwell. I'm trying to decipher this. I think he might mean Williams or Gainwell.
Okay. I don't want Gus.
All right.
Give me Kyron over Gus. I don't want Gus. I just don't.
And we haven't really got a lot of questions. In fact, nobody's really mentioned until now Gus or Justice Hill. wisely so, because it's going to be basically a 50-50 kind of timeshare. And that offensive line now has 2 injuries. So, yeah. And then this, Mark Cleveland, real quick, saying drop Collins for Dobbs. If you're talking about Nico Collins, this is the wrong time to drop Nico Collins. You need to be adding Nico Collins.
Yes. I liked what I saw from Nico Collins in week 1, and you got to think it's only going to get better.
All right, Christian Columbus with another. Got offered Walker and Watson for Pollard.
I don't think I can do it. Like, I like Walker. I think he'll be like a solid RB2. I like Watson. He's got plenty of upside, but hold on. Oh, I almost sneezed. Like I said, how many videos did I have Tony Pollard on our thumbnail? Like, how many videos did I felt like I just was talking about Tony Pollard every video. Like, go draft Tony Pollard. He's going to be awesome. And nothing out from week 1 has changed my mind. So, and look, if the Cowboys defense is this good, that's going to be a good thing for Tony Pollard, as we saw. So I think Tony Pollard has a legit chance to be the RB1, if it's not Bijan, of course. So I'm not giving that up. Even though it's a fair offer, but I'm keeping Pollard. Too much upside for me.
This is really interesting. I mean, if it's me, I just see that weekly upside of Walker with those big games, those big runs, and that Christian Watson. It's like, this would be really tempting for me. This all hinges on Watson, right? If he comes back, because look, he comes back and plays this week, scores a long touchdown. All of a sudden you got a steal, but yeah, it's hard to trade Pollard away. I'd say if you're going to start Watson, maybe you need Watson, need that upside. I think you can do this. It really depends a lot on the makeup of your roster, which I don't remember, honestly. I know you just put a super chat not long ago. I don't remember if you showed the whole roster or what, but this can go either way. If it's me, I might take this just to shoot for that upside of those 2 players because I like them both. And then first-time fantasy player Daniel Mesa has made us rich, $5,000. I actually think that's maybe what, Costa Rica? So it's probably a few bucks, but we appreciate it. Thank you, Daniel. Yes. And we're just glad you're watching, glad you're getting into fantasy. So let's help him out with this 10-team PPR. My team is Allen, Chubb, Pierce, Burks, Gabe, Freiermuth, Sutton, Mostert, Butker, and the Eagles. The bench has, okay, I see your first mistake. You got Daniel Jones. Cook, Jefferson, Higgins.
Higgins on your bench.
Is that I'm hoping that's Van Jefferson on the bench. Okay, Van Jefferson, Higgins, Mims, Gray, Dulcich. Okay, well, let's break this down.
I hope you're not like Burks, Traylon Burks. I hope you're not starting Traylon Burks over T. Higgins this week just because T. Higgins had 0. Please don't do that. Please start T. Higgins over Traylon Burks. Please.
Yes.
Drop Daniel Jones for anybody that's halfway decent on the waiver wire that we've talked about. You guys,
for an empty roster spot.
I know Josh Allen was bad last night, but I'm pretty sure Josh Allen will be better than Daniel Jones the rest of the season.
Well, real quick, just say too, Dulcich, besides not doing anything, he's also hurt. And I think he's missing a couple of weeks or whatever they said.
Yeah.
Definitely drop Dulcich. Definitely drop Daniel Jones. And then Gray, which Gray? Are we talking Eric Gray?
I mean, does it matter? Eric Gray, Noah Gray?
Probably Noah Gray.
I mean, whatever Gray it is.
You can drop Gray too.
Him. Yeah, drop him.
Gray, drop Goldfish, drop Jones. Okay, you cleared up some spots. So now you have 3 waiver wire pickups you can make. So now I guess we'll just run through those options again, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Algier, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams. Who else? Who am I forgetting? Gainwell.
Josh Kelly. Depends what you need. I mean, you don't need a quarterback, clearly. You don't need a tight end. What's the bigger area of need? Probably a receiver, because it looks like you're starting Gabe Davis along with Higgins. You need some receivers here.
Yeah, definitely need some receivers. Unless that's Justin Jefferson, and then I would really question why he's on your bench.
Yeah, I would drop those 3. Drop Jones, drop Gray, drop Dulcich, get you Try to get a running back. If this is a 10-teamer, Jacoby Myers might be out there. I would definitely try to grab Jacoby Myers. Grab 2 receivers and a running back if possible. And if you want to know who all are the best options, well, we already have a video out for that. You can just watch the waiver wire video. All right. Good luck, Daniel. Flacco. What is it? 10 teams, standard. 2 running back, 2 receiver, 2 flex. Got Herbert, Eckler, Gibbs, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Njoku, Watson, London, Hollywood, Pacheco, Sutton, Dillon, and Elijah Moore says he needs help. Does he need help?
So you got Eckler and Gibbs. That's good. You got Garrett Wilson and St. Brown. It's still good. It's not as good as it was, but it's still good. But it's not your fault. I mean, it's football. That's what happens. You got Watson, London, Hollywood, which looked really good. Hopefully Watson comes back. Pacheco, Sutton, Dillon, Moore. Yeah, I mean, you definitely you need running back help. You got Eckler and Gibbs, but then Pacheco and A.J. Dillon.
Yeah,
that does not make me feel good. You definitely need running back help here. So, but I don't know. I mean, maybe you could try to trade Sutton for like an RB, maybe like an RB2 type. Maybe you can get Sutton for Rachaad White right now because I don't think anybody is very high on Rachaad White. Might be able to do that.
This is a standard league. I feel like White loses a little bit of luster because he's a pass catching back. I mean,
yeah, true.
Who's more exciting though in a standard league that you could actually get? Running backs are going to be more valuable. You think you could get like a Kenneth Walker type?
For Sutton?
Well, just in general. Not for Sutton straight up. I doubt it. But
I mean, maybe for Garrett Wilson right now.
Maybe you could do that because, look, I know week 1, Watson gave you nothing. London gave you nothing. Hollywood gave you almost nothing. But long term, you got good receivers, right? Yeah, maybe flip Garrett Wilson and try to get a guy like Walker. And, you might not get him, but try. Yeah, that's the best I can say. Try to upgrade at running back too. Which, by the way, Jesus did mean Brian Robinson, thankfully not Bijan. So
good.
Do that trade. Carl Williams wants to know, would you take Dobbs over Juju?
100%. 100%. There's not many people I would take Juju over. 100%.
Yeah, in a heartbeat. Take Dobbs. And then you like this waiver order? Got Kyron, Kelly, Rashawn. Would you switch it?
I'm going. Okay. Well, Rashawn and Kelly are close. The reason why I might say Rashawn over Kelly, not that I think Rashawn, Rashawn had a nice game, but when you look at it, he didn't start playing until the game was like a blowout. Like he didn't play when the game was competitive at all. He's clearly third on the depth chart. But he looks good. And I can, there's a very clear path to him getting significantly more touches as the season goes on. That path is Khalil Herbert and Donta Foreman looked really bad. So I really like Rashawn, like as a bench hold, who could kind of be like a Tyler Algier type, except he can actually catch passes. But I mean that in the sense that, remember, Tyler Algier wasn't doing anything last year. And then finally, after the bye, he basically left Cordero Patterson in the dust and won people leagues. Rashawn feels like he could be that kind of running back this year. So if you need somebody right away, I go Kyron. If you're okay at running back, I'm fine stashing Rashawn. I think he has that potential.
I'm going to agree. Long term, I think Rashawn's your best bet there. So I would flip it. If this was your 1, 2, 3, I would put Rashawn 1, Kelly 2, and Kyron 3. But definitely Dobbs over Juju. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get back to the Falcons, because we were just talking about Algier again. I'm just going to kind of leave this here, drop this here for you with no comment and see what you think.
I mean, he might. You're right. He might. Arthur Smith might drive people crazy, but I feel confident Drake London will be the wide receiver 1 for the Falcons for every game he's healthy, and I don't feel confident. I don't even feel confident Puka is going to have a good game this week against San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you guys go, well, you can't watch it yet because it's not live, but I think tomorrow's video, I think you talk about this when we talk about Puka, our wide receiver start sit video that will drop tomorrow morning. I think you say like, hey, sometimes guys like Puka do this because the other team isn't expecting Puka to do it. Like the defense didn't sit there and be like, well, Kupp is out. We better get ready for Puka. The 49ers know about Puka now. And last time I checked, the 49ers are a pretty good defense. Like, don't be surprised if Puka does nothing this week. Don't be surprised.
I know.
So I'm sticking with London here. Even if Arthur Smith drives me crazy all year, which he might, I'm still sticking with London.
You can't drop London. You just don't drop London. This is a classic overreaction to week 1. You can't do that. Like maybe you think he's going to drive people crazy. Hold him. Wait till he actually does have a good game. And if you don't want to deal with it, you can at least trade him for something. Like you don't have to drop him.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'll say this quickly about Puka, which, by the way, we're going to keep moving because the super chats are now piling up, and we're going to get to them all. Guarantee we'll answer them. So if you did put a super chat, stay with us. We're going to get to it. If you want to get your comment question answered, use that super chat feature. We'll try to get to as many as we can. But look, somebody, I don't remember, I just saw it real quick on Twitter, and I thought, oh, that's funny, but then, no, it's actually stupid. But I get it. Okay, Chris, you remember Travis Fulgham? Okay. So somebody did the meme, the Peter Parker one, where it's like he's like this, and he puts the glasses, and it's like, and this is Puka, and this is Travis Fulgham. Okay, so completely different things, right? We're talking about a rookie in his first game versus somebody who was brought off the street, and we're talking about week 1 versus week 14 or whatever it was. Okay, so not even close to the same comparison. But the point was jokingly being made. He was joking, or at least half joking, that this is like somebody coming out of nowhere, and guess where he's going to be in 4 weeks. Okay. Guess what happens in 4 weeks? We know what's going to happen in 4 weeks, hopefully. Okay, but still, why was Travis Fulgham going for 200 yards and just going crazy? Because nobody had any idea who he was. They weren't covering him. Like, they're like, who's that guy? Okay, and they kept going to him, and, props to him for having a great 3-4 game stretch, but you see what I'm saying here, right? Yeah. It's like that's your best option. You go to him that many times. Yeah, he's going to have a big game if you throw it to him 15 times, and he's good. Puka is good.
Yep.
But he's not that good, and he's not going to be that good every week. And I'm not going to spend half my fab, and I'm not going to trade or drop Drake London for Puka. So that's the point. All right, let's keep going. Sal Palumbo, half point. Keeper league, got Treylon Burks and a 10th round pick for Algier and a 15th round pick. Let's just start with that. This is not dynasty, it's a keeper league. Treylon and a 10th for Algier and a 15th.
Just give me Algier in the 15th. I mean, there's a significantly better chance Treylon Burks is your keeper next year over Algier. But I would also hope you have other keepers. And I just think, again, it's nothing against Treylon Burks. I think Treylon Burks is a good player. He, A, got drafted into a terrible situation, and then B, it looked like for a while that situation might be okay this year, and then they've signed DeAndre Hopkins, and the situation got even worse. At least Algier has a look. I don't think like the Algier we saw week 1 we're going to get for 17 weeks. There's going to come a time, some point this season, when Algier is doing nothing, and Bijan is just dominating. But that time isn't right. But the difference is, I don't know if Burks isn't going to do anything all year unless Hopkins is out of the picture, probably. I mean, he might have every now and then he might catch a big pass, but even in that game, like that, they ran that flea flicker and Chig is like 10 yards behind everybody. Like, just float it, like underthrow him if you have to, and he just chucks it like 5 yards over his head, uncatchable. Like, it's not Treylon Burks' fault. It's literally one of the worst possible situations a wide receiver could be in. at least Algier will give you something for a while. And 10th, 15th round pick. I mean, yeah, are you really going to care about that next year? I don't think so. Give me Algier for right now.
Look, I'll say right here, right now on my fantasy team redraft, I'd rather have Algier than Burks. But next year, I'm going to rather have Burks, and I'll tell you why. Because remember, the Titans did draft a quarterback, and I'm not like a huge Will Levis fan or anything, but he's not Ryan Tannehill. And I think that this year, I've been saying one of my calls is after this year, Titans don't make the playoffs. Vrabel gets canned. Tannehill gets cut or whatever. I don't know if his contract is up. They're going to move on. And then they start over. This gives hope to Treylon Burks. All right. But also next year, by the end of this year, maybe even next year, it's Algiers clearly going to be in the back seat compared to Bijan. So I'll rather have the receiver who has some upside. The pick differential is nice, but it's not the factor here. So I'll go with Burks for that reason because I'm thinking long term. And then what about trade value for Lockett?
It should be okay. I think it's okay. Like low end RB2 type guy, if you're looking for that. Yeah. I mean, I don't think you're going to get like a stud back for him or anything, but you could probably get like a low end RB2 type.
You think this is the good time to trade Lockett before JSN really starts to like come on?
I mean, I would have preferred Lockett didn't get concussed and put up a big game in week 1. Because it's not, people aren't like all excited about Tyler Lockett right now because he didn't, he got concussed and I think he missed like half that game or something. But yeah, I certainly would be looking to trade him sooner than later for sure.
Yeah, if you're going to move on from Lockett, yeah, sooner than later. Don't know if we heard. It's too early in the week to know his status for this week. We'll see.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything yet. I mean, it's concussion, right? It's always tricky because now they have the thing. Yeah, it's not like an ankle, and they're like, "Yeah, I can play through it." It's like, no, you don't have a choice. If you don't pass the test, you don't play.
Yeah, I want to say, and I could be wrong here, that unlike like Myers, who left the game and you could tell it was serious, with Lockett, it's like they evaluated him for one, but it didn't say that he was diagnosed with one. So maybe they checked him out and he just didn't come back in because they didn't need him. That's just my impression. I could be wrong. Yeah. All right, Matthew Q. Traded Nico and Lazard for Jerry Jeudy.
I mean, look, Lazard, whatever. Doesn't even count. Lazard, whatever.
Well, especially now.
Yeah. I look, Nico was a guy, again, probably a guy we didn't talk enough about. We definitely talked about him, but probably not enough. Had to be encouraged by what you saw in week 1. First of all, they let CJ Stroud chuck it. They're like, go for it. We don't go for it. Throw it. I mean, and number 2, Nico looked good. And Nico's a guy, we did talk about this on some of our videos when we did talk about Nico. If you look at his progression as a receiver, he progressed the way you want to see. The problem is he didn't progress the way you want to see in games played. Therefore, when you just look at his numbers as a whole, you think he hasn't really done much. But if you look at him as he progresses as a receiver on a per game basis, you're like, this guy is really getting good. He's becoming a really good wide receiver. It's just got to stay healthy, and man, you got to be encouraged by what you saw in week 1. So I don't know. I might just want Nico. I was not encouraged by that Denver offense at all.
Yeah, I'm going to say I would rather have Nico than Jeudy straight up right now, I think. I'm a believer, and it was encouraged by week 1. So I would prefer Nico. Maybe Judy's fine. Maybe there's not a big difference between these guys. We'll see. But right now, give me Nico and give a little bit more expanded thoughts on Nico in the videos that you'll see drop in the next couple of days as well. Lazard, if anybody still has Lazard rostered for whatever reason, fast, hard drop. Definitely. Yeah. The Fins Fanatic. All right. 12 team super flex. Finally, a super flex league. And of course, you did the smart thing. You got Tua with Allen, White, Swift, Hall, Sharps, right? That's a win right there. Diggs, Sun God, Lockett, Sky, JSN need help at running back. So who do you like out of those choices?
Well, the first thing I'll ask as a Fins fanatic, who drafted what Fins fanatic drafts Josh Allen, first of all? That's the first question. Second question is, did you start Tua over Josh Allen this week, or did you have the painfulness of the huge Tua game on your bench?
This one's super flex.
Oh, it's super flex. Okay, never mind. Okay, so you got the Tua game. Okay. But the first question still stands. What Fins fanatic drafts Josh Allen? But anyways.
Not me.
If you need running back right now, which it looks like you do, because your RB1 is Rachaad White, your RB2 is either Swift or Hall, your RB3 is already played, your RB4 is a handcuff. I'm going Kyren because it looks like he's at least splitting with Akers, if not slightly ahead of Akers. I talked about Rashawn. I like Rashawn. I think Rashawn has more long-term upside, but Rashawn right now is clearly third. I think that changes at some point, but it might not be till after the bye. It might not be till the second half. So you need running back help right now. I'm going to prioritize Kyren.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure, because you might need to start him this week unless you want to go with Breece Hall. But my question now that he didn't ask, but I'm going to ask is, are you dropping Sky Moore from this team? Because there's not a lot of receiver depth. And if so, would you grab another running back, or would you try to grab a receiver?
No, because you got, let's see, your wide receivers are Diggs, Sun God, Lockett, JSN. So you're pretty good at wide receiver. Like, it's not like I don't even consider like Sky Moore. Like, what do we really hope? At some point, you got to just give up. You just got to throw your hands up in the air and say, "Oh well, not gonna happen." I'm at that point. I'm at that point now. I gave him another chance. I'm at that point now. So yeah, if you can get Kyren and Rashawn, I would definitely do it, because I do think Rashawn is a great long-term stash.
There you go. All right. Hope that helps. Best of luck to you, Ali. All right.
What's up, Ali?
What's up? Been a long time. Hey guys, PPR. Start Goff or Carr?
This week definitely Goff. Carr on the road against Panthers. Goff is at home against
Seattle,
who just looked terrible against Matthew Stafford. Give me Goff.
Yeah, and Goff at home, different beast. Yeah. So, yeah, even though Carr looked better last week, go Goff this week. Thoughts on Tyjae Spears if he's available?
Yeah, I think Spears is a must add if you've got room. I mean, look, if you're in shallower leagues, you're not going to be adding Tyjae Spears. But I think if you've got room, Tyjae Spears is a guy I definitely want on my bench.
And to follow that up, is it too early to drop Charbonnet?
Yes, it's too early to drop Charbonnet. I remember last year people were asking if they could drop Kenneth Walker after week 1 and week 2.
This is
we
true.
We saw how
real
that
things that happen.
Real things that happened. Lots of people dropped Travis Etienne.
I was going to say, like,
real thing that happened to a lot of people. And Travis Etienne was actually playing.
People forget, but it happens. Yeah, don't drop Charbonnet.
Yeah,
Spears is a good add, but not instead of Charbonnet. Then we got Master Zonk. I dropped London.
And I like the defiance. You know what, Master Zonk? I'll give you credit. I like the defiance. First of all, I like your Samurai Jack avatar, but I also like your defiance. You're like, you know what? I don't care. It's my fantasy team, and I'm doing what I want. I like that at least.
Hey, you know what? And you could be right. Maybe we're wrong on London. Maybe Arthur Smith is the one who's laughing at all of us. He clearly does not care. Like, I know, like, nobody cares about your fantasy team. He made it pretty clear he does not care.
Arthur Smith watching this stream right now, laughing at us.
Yeah, he gives zero. All right, Heisenberg, mid full PPR, Puka or Kyren Williams?
I'm going to say this probably comes down to what you need. I think Kyren probably has more long-term potential because, I mean, he does look like at least one of the guys. And look, Cam Akers was really bad. And really bad in week 1. It's not hard to see Kyren getting even more work. I mean, if you're desperate at wide receiver, then I guess Puka. But if you're okay, Kyren has more long-term value.
Yeah. I mean, if we're asking who the Rams are going to use more and who's more valuable, you can see the path for Kyron better than the path for Puka
Right.
because what you just said. So if it doesn't matter positionally, then I guess go Kyron. Just something I did not think I would be saying.
No.
Let's address this real quick, Chris, because trade videos come out and we put them. Donald Smith surprised how many people make trades after one game.
Isn't that so? Isn't that the two best things about fantasy football are the draft, which you only get to do once unless you're in multiple leagues, and then trading, which you can do every week. Why wouldn't you be making trade? It's like the best part.
I mean, why wait? If you have a
Yeah.
chance to improve your team, especially look, this is part of what we talk about without getting preachy or anything, but we call this the end game for a reason, right? Number one, we both like chess. We're chess nerds. Number two, Chris is a huge Avengers fan, so I just thought it would fit. But also, look, what is the end game? The end game is it's all about strategy, which is why they have the whole symbolism with chess. It's thinking ahead. It's not waiting. Oh, wait, this guy's good. Maybe I should pick him up when everybody else already knows the same thing as you.
Yeah.
That's why we have beat the breakout. Hey, pick up this guy before everybody else does. Hey, make this trade and buy low before this guy goes off. Sell high while everybody else thinks this guy's amazing. All right. So that's what it's all about. Thinking ahead, making those moves. So trading right now, this is almost the perfect time to trade
Yes.
because hopefully you have that knowledge, that advanced, way of thinking where you can make those moves and take advantage of your team. I mean, make team moves that'll help your team. All right, let's go to bucket of Andrew. 12 team PPR, 2 flex. Watson, Connor, Gibson, AJ Brown. I know. I'm hoping those aren't the starting running backs. Connor Gibson, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra, Njoku Amari, DJ Moore, Eli Mitchell, Warren Charbonnet, Mike Evans. Okay, so we got a 0 RB team. I
mean,
respect it.
I see an immediate move.
Okay.
Trade Mike Evans for a running back. Because Mike Evans had value. Mike Evans just came off a nice game. Trade Mike Evans for a running back.
Yeah, because he's not starting for you.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, not selling super high or anything like that, but probably a good time to take advantage of his decent game. I do, I'll pull back a little bit. I say I mostly like the running backs you took for the 0 RB build, except Gibson. I just don't think he's going to do it for you. And then your bench guys aren't startable yet. Maybe Charbonnet will be, but yeah, you need somebody who's at least a little bit more solid because I don't think Gibson is it. But I mean, the receivers are great.
Yes, that's why I said trade Evans for a running back.
And look, we hope that Watson and Njoku, I got that stack a couple of places. I got it a lot in best ball. So if that Watson and Njoku stack comes together, yeah, you'll be good. Figgy Smalls, still the illest. Garrett Wilson, Damian Pierce for Barkley and Waller.
I think I got to do this now. I think you got to do this now. I mean, I know Barkley didn't have a great week 1, but are they going to be getting destroyed? Like, are they going to give up 2 defensive touchdowns every week and just be, in terrible game script where he's not even playing towards the end? Barkley's still a top 5 running back. I like Pierce. I think he'll be good, but Waller's a solid tight end. And Garrett Wilson now just doesn't have that ceiling. So I'm taking the Barkley and Waller side now.
I mean, never did I think we'd be buying into the Giants at all, really. And especially after that week. But I guess this is the definition of buying low, isn't it? Because you can't get much lower than the Giants. Yeah, I do this because you're definitely getting, the upgrade at running back. Obviously you're doing this, you need a tight end, right? I mean, I don't know why else you would do this. So I think the Barkley Waller side has got to be the winner. AJ Martinez, the super chat. I'm going to look for your comment, see if you got it a little farther down, but let's go to Jesus again. Another Saquon trade. Got offered Saquon and Kittle for Bijan. That's interesting.
I mean, I want to just immediately say yes, but I kind of first want to know who would be your backup plan at tight end. like, did you draft Kittle and Freiermuth? And you're going to roll with Freiermuth every week?
Well, he's saying he got offered. I think he would be getting the Saquon
those
side,
guys. You're getting those guys.
It's super confusing because remember we asked, like, make sure it's not Bijan Robinson. No, it's Brian Robinson, but now he's talking about Bijan Robinson. So this must be a different team, or maybe it's the same team. I don't know.
So you got offered Saquon and Kittle to give up Bijan.
I'm guessing so.
I don't know. I don't think so. I want Bijan. Having the potential RB1 is just such an advantage. And look, we talked about Kittle all offseason. We didn't think Kittle was going to be like some league-winning tight end. Like, he'd be fine. He'll be fine. I still don't think he's going to be some league-winning tight end. So I'm gonna take Bijan here.
This could go either way, couldn't it? I mean, I know it's tempting to have that advantage at tight end, but I also kind of feel like I want Bijan. So I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't give up Bijan, not right now. Then we have Jung Should I start panicking about Debo and Rachaad White, or give them one more chance? I mean, Debo didn't really have a bad game. He was okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, when Brandon Ayuk catches 2 touchdowns and they don't have to do anything in the second half, you're gonna get a game like that. So I'm definitely not panicking on Debo. No. I will say I'm a little panicked on Rachaad White because A, like, this run game doesn't look any better, and B, he didn't, like, if he would have caught 4 or 5 passes, kind of like what Ramondre Stevenson did, I'd feel okay right now. I'd be like, yeah, it's good. We got what we wanted in the passing game. But he only caught 2, and Baker Mayfield threw the ball 32 times. It's not like it wasn't like the Falcons where they only threw it 18 times. He threw it 32 times, and he only got 2. That has me a little bit worried about Rachaad White. So, I mean, I think you got to – I mean, I don't know who your other options are. I'm definitely giving Debo another chance. White, it comes down to your other options. So, yeah. But, no, I'm not starting Rashawn Johnson over Rachaad White. No.
All right, yeah. Look, I got some hype for Rashawn too, but on my bench right now. Like, I'll give Rachaad White another chance because he's playing the Bears. You know, Rashawn still needs to get a little bit bigger piece of the pie before you can start him. So, Debo, don't worry. Yeah, you should have been worried last year when Debo was like a first-round pick and then he was doing what he did. But this year, you got him probably 4th, maybe 5th round. He'll be fine. Humberto, welcome back. 14-team league got Howell at the quarterback position. Barkley and Stevenson, Adams, St. Brown, Mike Williams, Andrews on the bench. Khalil Herbert, A.J. Dillon, Sutton Lazard, Dobbs, Musgrave. So even with that team, he's saying he's still lost. I mean, you have guys that didn't have big weeks. You just bad luck.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't play.
Yeah, a lot of them will probably have big weeks this week. So,
right.
Yeah, you have a good team. You got Barkley, Stevenson. You got Adams, St. Brown, Mike Williams. You got Andrews. I mean, he didn't play. I mean, obviously, it'd be nice if you had a better QB than Howell, but it is a 14-team league, so there's probably not a lot out there. You still have a very good team. You'll be okay. You'll be okay.
And I'll say again, I see Lazard there. You could drop Lazard. No matter how deep your league is, drop Lazard, try to pick up one of those waiver wire options, whoever it is. Hope for better things. Oh, man. I don't know if there's another quarterback available. You don't want to start Howell this week. It's a bad matchup. So,
yeah.
See who's there. I don't know. Let's see who's there. What about the retro Gandalf? Fields, right. Bijan, Stevenson, A.J. Brown, DJ Moore, Lamb, Elliott, San Francisco. Very nice. Goff, probably Sharp, Eli, Shane, Michael Thomas, Elijah Moore, and Nkonkwo. Would you trade anybody?
Man, this is a good team.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown and Lamb, Bijan and Stevenson, Fields. This team might have lost week 1, though. Because, again, there's a lot of guys that did not have good games in week 1 on this team. But this is a stacked team. I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, look, If I had drafted Michael Thomas anywhere, which I did not, I would be looking to trade Michael Thomas right now. People are all excited about Michael Thomas, and I don't think they realize he was the number 3 receiver on that team. Like he was even behind Shaheed. So, and that was a great match. That was Tennessee. Like that's one of the best matchups you're going to get all year. I would be looking to trade Michael Thomas right now. If you could trade Goff to a team that needs a quarterback, I would trade him, but you never know with quarterbacks. Those are the 2 guys I'd be looking to trade right now.
And then unless I'm just missing it, I don't see. I hopefully have a starting tight end, somebody other than Chig. I mean, if you don't
that's true.
start a tight end, you don't need any tight ends. But if you do have a starting tight end, no matter who it is, he's probably better. So you probably don't need to hold on to Chig. You can drop a Okonkwo, trade Michael Thomas if you can, and Goff. You don't need Goff either. You got a really good starting lineup, though. I'll say that. Don't worry. I'm gonna just go ahead and just predict it now. You're gonna win in week 2.
All right, Pierre guaranteed it.
I didn't say guarantee. Joe, trade Ridley, Waddle, and Rashad White to get Pollard and Gibbs.
No.
That's too
Ridley Waddle, too good. No way.
Not trading Ridley right now. And somebody asked earlier, in the Discord, is Ridley a good sell high? No, he's good. Be glad you have him.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I think a fair trade for. Not for Pollard and Gibbs, but I think a fair trade for Gibbs, if you want Gibbs, especially since you have Ridley, Waddle, and Lamb, would be Garrett Wilson. Like if I could trade Garrett Wilson for Gibbs right now, with your team having Ridley, Waddle, and Lamb, not to mention Flowers and Addison, I would trade Garrett Wilson for Gibbs right now if I could.
There you go. Smart move. Gibbs and Wilson both, value is much lower after week 1. But Gibbs is probably going to get better, and Wilson, who knows?
Yeah.
The firearm addict wants to know, trading Lamb, Stevenson, Gabe, and AJ Dillon. All right, let's just process all that for Chubb, T, and Terry.
This is like a Clayton Hartley trade where you post in the Discord, and it's like, okay, I'll give you my team for your team.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you post these trades sometimes and it's like 6 dudes for 7 dudes. I'm like, are you guys just have the commissioner like switch ownership? Like you now manage this team and okay, there you go, trade complete. Like what is it? You're trading your entire team. But I don't think I do this. I like CeeDee Lamb more than Chubb. Stevenson, T. Higgins, I probably slightly prefer T, but it's pretty close. I mean, I probably like Terry McLaurin more than Gabe and AJ Dillon, but I don't know if I significantly like Terry McLaurin more than them. So to me, CeeDee Lamb, the best player in here. I think I'm either keeping or I'm taking the CeeDee Lamb Stevenson side.
Yeah, I mean, I can see this. I don't know if this really makes a huge difference either way, honestly, because I think CeeDee Lamb and T. Higgins, I like Lamb better, but not like a huge difference. I like Chubb better than Stevenson, but not by much. Terry McLaurin, you'd think that would be an advantage, but I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I think I'd rather. Yeah, I don't think the rest of that even matters. I think I'd rather keep Lamb and Stevenson for now. That's one that kind of makes my head hurt. All right, AJ Martinez, here's a trade. Here's his team. 8-man PPR. Tua and Herbert, Jones, Etienne, Henry, and Algier. So Derrick Henry, Hill, Lamb, Wilson, Puka, Jacoby Myers, Goddard, and Henry. What do you think?
Oh, okay. I feel like I always start with this. Is it Superflex, 2 QB? Why do you have Tua and Herbert? I know it's 8-team, but I mean
it's an 8-man league.
Yeah. But anyways, hopefully you started Tua last week. And then you could be like, well, that's why, Chris. That's why I have both of them. So I can start Tua when he drops 40 points or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, touche. It's so hard to rate these teams. I mean, you got Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson. You got Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Travis Etienne. You got Goddard and Henry. I mean, you're stacked. You're stacked. But the thing is, it's like an 8-team league. So I'm sure a lot of teams in your league are pretty stacked. But, I mean, I can't look at this team and say, like, anything's bad. I mean, Aaron Jones is your RB3. Garrett Wilson is your wide receiver 3. I mean, look, it looked a lot better before last night as your wide receiver 3, but it's still really good. You got 2 awesome quarterbacks. You got Goddard. You look like you might have the breakout tight end. Yeah, I can't find anything not to like about this team.
Well, you obviously already dropped who you didn't want and picked up the guys you wanted, like Puka and Jacoby Myers and Algier. So you're good. Obviously, yeah, this team not quite as intimidating with the Garrett Wilson thing, but overall,
still good.
Still stacked. Should be contender. You want another 8-team league to talk about? Well, here you go. You're going to get it.
Go.
Mary Jo. Welcome back, Mary Jo. 18 PPR. So we got Fields, Bijan, Olave, Ridley, Ingram. The Ravens defense. On the bench, we got guys like White, Swift, Pickens, Sky, Sharp. So this is obviously a more shallow league, it looks like. Available are Nacua, Myers, A. Jones, Dotson, and Breece Hall and Nico, all on the waivers.
Okay. Breece Hall is an absolute must add if he's available. Like, I wasn't like, I'm never drafting Breece Hall. I was like, Breece Hall is being drafted too early for me.
Yeah.
But Breece Hall on the waiver wire is like, what? Yeah, drop J.K. Dobbins for Breece Hall. And drop all your fab if you need to get Breece Hall. Or if it's not, or whatever. Use your number 1 claim, whatever. I would also get Dotson. You could drop Sky Moore, get Dotson. It's an 8-team league. You don't need Sky Moore. Drop Sky Moore, get Dotson. Drop J.K. Dobbins, get Breece Hall. In an 8-team league, I'm probably dropping Sharp for Nico.
I was going to say, you don't need Sharp with this team.
Yeah, in an 8-team league, you don't need a guy like Sharp. He's like a bench stash in a deeper league. So drop JK for Hall, Sky for Dotson, Sharp for Nico.
There you go. See, even in shallow leagues, always moves you can make.
You don't even need Algier in this league.
No, but at least nobody else gets him. Oh, but there's more. Another 8-teamer, full PPR. So this one's got Eckler, Pollard, Najee, Kamara, and Swift. Amon-Ra, Olave, DK, Mike Will, Z-Flow, Darren Waller, and Jake Ferguson. You can drop Jake Ferguson. Burrow and T-Law. Okay, the question here is, would you drop Swift for Algier?
No, I'll still hold Swift.
I'm not dropping Swift.
Yeah, I'll still hold Swift. And again, I'm going to ask Burrow, and I know it's an 8-team league, but Burrow and T-Law?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's not like you need the upside on your bench, but whatever. But you can drop Jake Ferguson for Jacoby Myers, definitely. But I'm not dropping Swift, Petey. I'm just not doing it. Even in a shallow league, you don't need to do that just yet. And then remember Chris KD. So Chris, I see your comment after, but let me see if I see your question before. I think I kind of broke this up. Oh, here it is. All right, 1-0. Let's go. Thanks to CMC and the Cowboys defense. We'll take credit, sure.
Yeah.
C. Watson probably still out. Not necessarily. I mean, Watson might play, right?
Yeah, he might. Yeah, we don't know yet.
It's too early.
Could go
all
either
right.
way.
Who do you like off waivers from those choices?
I think Nico here is my number 1 in full PPR, with Algier a close second. Those would be my top 2 because, again, talked about Algier. I like him. I think you should add him if he's out there. But I also think Bijan is going to eventually ruin his fantasy value sooner rather than later. Nico's going to be the X receiver for the Houston Texans for however many games he stays healthy. And it's full PPR. So Nico 1, Algier 2.
What do you mean how many games he stays healthy? Are you just assuming injury here?
I mean, it's not like, I don't know why I would think Nico Collins might miss some games. It's not like he's ever missed games.
Don't put that on him. This is his breakout season. No, yeah. I go Nico too.
I hope so.
Speaking of the Cowboys defense, Humberto, some bad news. Lost to the Cowboys defense and Tyreek Hill. That's just, what can you do?
Literally the 2 top scorers in fantasy were Tyreek Hill and a defense. If there's ever a reason to ban defenses, this was it. But anyways.
Just so you know, there was a league where I was the second highest scorer of the week, and I lost by 2 points. But that's fine. I got plenty of other leagues. Brock Purdy, a good pickup?
Yeah, I think he's a good pickup depending on who else is out there. He's got a good matchup this week. He's got weapons. He's not my favorite guy, but he's good enough.
Oh, I like him a lot, and I recall. Now, of course, this video has not come out just yet, but every week we do our start sit for every position, not kickers, they don't count. But for quarterback, and I did mention I'm pretty high on Brock Purdy this week, and I don't know the current line exactly, but underdog, you have the weekly pick'ems. I'm going higher on his yardage total easily because it's super low. I think I got it at like 216 yesterday. Could be higher now. I don't know, but I don't think it's not that much higher at all. And there it is.
217 now.
217. He did that. Didn't he pretty much do that in the first half last week?
Think so, or very, very close to it. Yes, very close.
Okay. And so, look, I get it. It was just one of those games. But against the Rams, I think he can do it because apparently the Rams are going to put up a fight this year. So the bottom line is I like Purdy a lot this week. I think he is a good pickup if you need a quarterback. And he's one of my favorite pick'ems are the ones that I picked so far early this week. So that's one I definitely like. Let's go to two boys and their scary pops.
Hey, nice.
Someone proposed Lamar Jackson for my Josh Allen. Who do you like?
That's a good question. It's close, and week 1 didn't really sway me either way. It's not like I'm like, oh, definitely this guy now. I guess I slightly go Lamar.
It's okay. Preseason, look at my draft rankings. I had Lamar ahead of Josh Allen. I made this clear, but I'm not taking too much away from Josh Allen because he played the Jets defense, right? Week 1, it was just one of those games. Lamar, it's hard though, because on the one hand, lost J.K. Dobbins. Like that sucks for them, but maybe it's good for Lamar because he's going to run the ball more and he's going to pass the ball more, right? But then they just lost 2 starting offensive linemen to injury, not season ending per se, but it's still, that's not good. So, and maybe not having that running back threat there that's as good, maybe it's just not good for the offense in general, but I'm still going Lamar. I would still say I would rather have Lamar. Ike, I think. 10 team, half PPR, 1 quarterback, 2 running back, receiver, tight end, 2 flex. Got Mahomes and CMC. Jones, Adams, Lockett, Ingram, Cooks, Kirk on the bench. Shane, Hollywood, Algier. Had to drop JK. Got Bourne and got Justice Hill. So you've been busy. What do you think?
All right, so half PPR, you got CMC and Aaron Jones. Nothing wrong with that. You got Adams, Lockett. That's pretty good. You got Ingram. Is that Brandon Cooks?
Probably. I mean, we have to assume.
Brandon Cooks and Christian Kirk. That's rough. What did they combine for? 4 points? Did they each have 1 catch?
I think Cooks had 2 catches for 22 yards or something like that.
Okay, so they combined for 6.
Pretty much.
Shane Hollywood. Yeah, it's for a 10 team, it doesn't feel. Well, I guess it's only a 1 wide receiver league. Is that what I'm seeing? 1 wide receiver, 2 flex, or is it 2 running back and 2 wide receivers? Is that what he means?
I'm assuming 2 receivers. So that's he's starting. I think Adams, Lockett, and then Ingram at tight end, and then the 2 flex are Cooks and Kirk.
Yeah, it's for a 10 team. It's okay. I mean, okay. I feel like elite 6 round. He could still be good. It's 1 game. But I feel like Brandon Cooks, you should have had a better second flex than Brandon Cooks in a 10-team league. Because he was a guy that was going in usually around 8 in 12-teamers. So you're talking about a round 9 or 10 in a 10-teamer. I feel like you should have had a better flex. I mean, you did draft JK and lost him, so maybe he was your other flex. So, yeah, I don't know. It's an okay team. It's a playoff team, but it'll probably need some work to be, a championship team.
Yeah, that's exactly. I feel like it's okay. I mean, you invested CMC could help carry you for the most part, but this league is deep enough for your starting lineup. You're going to need more help. Like you can't rely on just him and Mahomes to carry you. So it's good. You got, good players. Hopefully Kirk has better days, but yeah, you want to see if you can boost your flex options just a little bit. Yeah. I don't know if there's much you can do right now, like trade wise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kirk and Cooks and Hollywood all kind of did nothing last week. So hold tight for now, and then we'll hopefully, I guess, come back next week and we'll see what we can do. We'll take it from there. All right. Now here's an interesting one. Austin, would you trade Tua to get Garrett Wilson if you already have Fields?
Yes, gonna keep saying it. If you already have an elite QB, and I still think Fields will be elite, you can get it. Like Garrett Wilson might only be a wide receiver 2 now, but that's still pretty good. So yes, I will take Garrett Wilson for Tua. Yes,
That's a good way of selling high on your backup quarterback, basically. And even if Garrett Wilson isn't going to be what we hoped Garrett Wilson was going to be, you can still take him over a backup quarterback. DC, who just became a member yesterday. Appreciate that. So let's answer this.
Yep.
I haven't heard much about Zay Flowers. I don't think we can say he's a must start, but I also don't think he's a sell high.
Yeah, he's a good start for sure. But not a must start. Like he's not a guy I'm like, I have to get him in my lineup. But if he's a guy where I'm like, he's my best option, like as my wide receiver 3 or something, I feel really good about that. So good start, not a must start, but a good start, and not a sell high. He's another guy like Calvin Ridley. Happy I have him type of guy.
Yeah. I was all over Zay Flowers. He's one of my guys. So glad to see he's off to a good start. This Baltimore offense is going to look different because they just lost their starting running back in J.K. Dobbins, but they also now should be getting back their starting tight end, Mark Andrews, who they didn't have. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with Baltimore this week. You can flex him. Ali with another one.
Thank you.
All right. Start Dalvin Cook or Breece Hall against Dallas. Or would you go with a guy like Kyron Williams or Spears?
Well, I mean, I don't like the matchup against Dallas, but I definitely don't like the matchup against San Francisco for Kyron Williams. I mean, we saw what they did to Pittsburgh. They couldn't even run the ball anymore. So I'm going to go Breece Hall out of this group because at least like what we saw last night, at least Breece Hall on one play can get you a huge run. Dalvin Cook just doesn't really have that juice anymore. Like Dalvin Cook looked fine last night. He didn't look terrible or anything. It wasn't like Dalvin Cook looked awful. But Dalvin Cook probably isn't going to hit an 83-yard run at this point of his career. Maybe, but probably not. So if I have to pick here, I'm going Breece.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd be here, but here we are. Breece Hall. I mean, yeah, I'm not starting Kyron or Spears over either of those guys. I mean, I'm hopefully not starting either of them at all yet. I really thought Cook would be better, but it's not just Breece Hall had that one long run, but Dalvin Cook didn't look good, right? He looked sluggish. He looked kind of like a grinder. So yeah, I think you got to go with Breece Hall and hope for the home run because realistically, you're not going to depend on any of these guys getting a lot of yardage through volume anyways. So hope for that big play, and that would be Breece Hall. And then also at the flex, need either Zay Flowers, Dotson, or London.
This week, definitely Zay Flowers for me. Got a good matchup. Got involved. Well, very involved. Dotson, Broncos tough. London. Look, I will happily put London on my bench and have him go off for a 25-point game. I will happily take that. And then next week, we can all play London again.
There you go. But don't drop him. Don't drop Drake
No,
London.
don't
Come
drop
on.
him.
Like, come on. All right. Good luck, Ali. Let's see. Ramu. Ramu's back. 10
What's
team
up?
PPR. Got Lamar, Ramondre, Bijan, JJ, Waddle, Ayuk. Now this is a team. Bench is Algier. Pick 2 running backs. Suggest trades. Replace Freiermuth with Musgrave, Henry, Hurst, or Laporta.
No, you had to feel pretty good if you had Freiermuth. He caught a touchdown. It was probably the toughest matchup he's going to have all year against the 49ers. And I saw an interesting stat today. Only one tight end, actually only one player in the entire league got 3 end zone targets in week 1. You want to take a guess who it is? It's probably pretty easy.
Tyreek Hill?
Nope. Pat Freiermuth. 3 end zone targets. What was the big thing about, he's not going to catch touchdowns? Well, he got 3 end zone targets already in week 1.
And he scored.
If you got Freiermuth, you just roll them every week. Don't even think. You just put him in your lineup, take whatever he gives you, move on.
And without Deontay Johnson, he's just going to get more targets. So there you go. So what about running backs? He's saying pick 2 running backs. I mean, you got Bijan, you got Ramondre, you're good.
Yeah, you're playing Bijan or Ramondre. Yeah.
And you're definitely playing those 3 receivers.
This team, I wonder, did you lose in week 1? I wonder, because Waddle didn't have a big game. Ramondre didn't have a big game. Lamar was terrible. Muth was okay. I mean, Ayuk had a huge game, and Bijan and JJ were good. So maybe you still won. But this is a team that on paper looks like it should never lose. And then I look at it, I'm like, this team might have lost week 1, actually. But it's a stacked team, so don't worry about it if you did.
If you played against the team that had Tyreek Hill on the Dallas defense, then maybe you did. So, all right. Well, let's go on. Yeah, Freiermuth. Keep Freiermuth. You're good there with Freiermuth. Let's see. The next one here is from Brady. Rodgers, Bijan, Gainwell, Wilson, Jefferson, St. Brown, Musgrave, P. Ryan, Swift, Okonkwo, Peoples-Jones, Bigsby, Algier, Bryce Young. What do I do?
Well, you drop Aaron Rodgers. That's number 1. And hopefully you can find a better quarterback. I mean, on the plus side for Bryce Young is they let him throw it. They were like, go for it. You're a rookie. Throw it. Let's see what happens. On the downside, he's throwing it to Adam Thielen, an invisible DJ Chark, a rookie Jonathan Mingo, and Hayden Hurst. So I would like a better QB than Bryce Young if possible. Not sure who's on your waiver wire, but I'd like an improvement there. Gainwell's your RB2. I would go Algier. I would play Bijan and Algier. I don't care. I'm playing them both. I don't think I've ever in my life played 2 running backs from the same team. I will happily play Bijan and Algier this week. Like until Arthur Smith shows me that he's going to actually throw the ball a little bit and not just, play football like it's the 1950s, I'll happily ride with Bijan and Algier. So I would put Algier in over Gainwell personally.
Yeah, I would prefer to have Algier over Gainwell. So does it really matter if you already have Bijan? No, because if a guy scores more points, he scores more points. You just want to score the most points. That's what matters. I'm trying to figure out tight ends here. You got Musgrave, got Okonkwo. I don't think you need to hold Jig right now. If you're going to go with one, just go with one. I'll try to get some more. I think you need some more receiver depth. Your receivers on the high end are really good. I mean, if that's Justin Jefferson and Sun God and Garrett Wilson, but you need a little bit more depth. So, yeah. I mean, if Bryce Young is the best quarterback out there, go with him. He could probably drop Peoples-Jones.
Yeah.
Okay, Ike, let's go back to that real quick. He said, forgot to say, has JT stashed an IR and had JK. So this is a 10 team. So yeah.
I mean, certainly you throw JK in there with Kirk, it's better, but I still feel like even in a 10 team, because I don't know what your league is like, and I don't know what platform you drafted on, but like on ESPN and Yahoo, J.K. Dobbins was way down there. Like you could get him pretty late. So But anyways, I mean, I'm sure you watched like me talk about J.K. Dobbins all off season, so my bad. But yeah, hopefully JT comes back and plays week 5.
Yeah, I mean that does help. I mean, knowing that you had JK and knowing that you have JT. So I mean, it's still good. Still good. Ramu saying he actually did not lose with that team. He won, so
Nice.
that's good.
That's good. You should win with that team.
You should have. Yeah. That's the idea here. All right, and then what about Jarrell Williams? Thank you for the super chat, by the way. We appreciate it. So let's help you out here. Starting lineup: Justin Herbert, Aaron Jones, Jacoby Myers, Travis Kelce, Christian Kirk, Damian Pierce. Cowboys on the bench is Gibbs, Tutu, London, Laporta, Dobbs. What would you do with this starting lineup here?
I'm torn between Gibbs and Pierce.
That's what I was looking at. Is it too soon to start Gibbs? He'll be more involved, but how much more involved? And then you trust Pierce. That's tough.
Well, Pierce has a good matchup this week.
It's the
Colts. That doesn't scare me at all. And it should be like I'm not scared of like the Colts, putting him in terrible game script.
Right.
Gibbs gets Seattle. No, Gibbs gets who did Detroit play again?
Yeah, they get Seattle at home.
Yeah, Seattle. That doesn't really scare me either. And they're in Detroit. I don't know. I'd probably go Pierce this week. Even though it's fun to have Gibbs in your lineup. It's just fun. Shiny new toy.
Mm-hmm.
Do I put anybody over Kirk? I don't think so.
I mean, I almost feel like you need to roll with Kirk against the Chiefs.
Yeah. If he's going to have a big week, it's going to be this week, right?
Yeah. You better hope it is this week. If not, people are going to be dropping Christian Kirk next week. If he does nothing.
But I remember last year with Christian Kirk, there was like a game where he was really like he had a good game and then he had a really bad game. And then we were like, oh, he plays so-and-so this week. You got to like if it's going to happen, it's going to happen this week. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm saying this is what happened. And then he had another bad game. And then we were like, okay, forget Christian Kirk. And then he went off. That's just Christian Kirk. That's just what you get with him. You draft like you just get. That's what you get. That's what you get. So, yeah, I'd probably stick with Christian Kirk.
Also, the one thing is Jacoby Myers might not play. You got to check. Be prepared to switch him out if he doesn't play in the protocol. And if that's the case, I mean, I guess would you go Drake London or you go Dobbs?
Well, then I might go. I'm assuming Kirk is your flex because you got one running back, one wide receiver, a tight end. I'm assuming Kirk and Pierce are your flexes. Which is actually a good note for future. Like when you guys are dropping comments, just try to be specific as you can so we know who's where and who's what. But if it was me and Myers is out, I'd probably move Kirk to wide receiver and I might flex Gibbs. Although Dobbs is not bad, especially if Watson's out again. I'm just really trying hard to get Gibbs in my lineup, as you can see.
Well, I mean, you might be able to do that. Like you said, if Myers is out, move Kirk, flex Gibbs. There you go. All right. Hopefully that helps. Ryan Torres with the super sticker, and here he's saying has T-Law and Fields. Got offered Justin Fields for Elijah Moore.
Yes. You have T-Law, so
I think he's saying he already did this. It sounds like he's saying he already has T-Law and Fields because somebody gave him Fields for Elijah Moore, which is interesting. Okay, so he's saying, do I keep them and rotate or do I trade one?
All right, Ryan, I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm trying to say this in a way that doesn't come off as like mean, but why did you trade Elijah Moore for Justin Fields if you're just going to then turn around and trade Justin Fields? You could have just kept Elijah Moore. who I would have preferred over Justin Fields. But it's done. I guess it is what it is.
And then at the
And
end,
then,
this is funny, just because
and
you're
then trade
asking this. You
Drake
say, "Do I
London to
trade
get
London
Elijah
to get
Moore
Elijah Moore
back.
back?"
See, now you're in this. Now you're in this terrible. This is like one of those things where it's like you don't think the decision you make is going to have the ramifications it's going to have until you make that decision. And now you're in this spot where it's like you could have just had Elijah Moore and Drake London and not worried about it. Instead, now you might have to trade Drake London just to get Elijah Moore back and have a quarterback that is going to sit on your bench, all because you made that one trade. But no, I'm still keeping Drake London over Elijah Moore. I'm like, it's week. How many catches did Devonta Smith have week 1 last year? Anybody remember?
Like 0 maybe, or
yeah, he ended up pretty good. It's week 1. Yeah, I don't know. I would definitely be trying to trade one of your quarterbacks, though. Yes.
Well, I mean, he's asking for who, like a top 10, 15 receiver. I mean, look, if you traded Elijah Moore to get Fields and you can trade Fields to get a top 15 receiver, well, then you won, right? Because you upgraded that receiver,
Right.
And then you came out ahead. I don't know if you can do that. Maybe you can. Just try it. I mean, if so, who? I don't know who is realistically going to offer you a top 15 receiver for a quarterback. Maybe they will, but try it. Maybe you could buy low. Maybe like Christian Watson might make sense because people are worried about him, Who else? Maybe T. Higgins. Maybe someone's like, Bengals suck.
I mean, look, we got some people posting some crazy trades yesterday, so you never know.
You never know. I mean, really, it's possible. Try it. See if it works. Don't trade Drake London just to get Elijah Moore back.
Yeah.
Brent McFarland, 12-man. Here we go. Full PPR. Got Jackson, Pollard, Monty, Akers, Mostert, Cooper, Ayuk, Cooks, Addison, and Quentin Johnson. Got Kelsey and the Bills D. Rate this team.
Very good team. You got an elite QB, an elite running back, an elite tight end. You have good wide receivers. Like maybe Ayuk maybe he'll do this all year and he'll be an elite wide receiver, but at least you have good wide receivers. Running back depth is certainly an issue now. After going into week 1, I would have said your running back depth is pretty good. You had Akers, you had Monty. Mostert is pretty much done now because he gets 3 brutal matchups and then Wilson's back. Who knows what's going to happen with Akers? You do still have Monty, so that's good. But man, running back is definitely an issue now all of a sudden. I mean, this is your whole team? This is it?
Looks like it.
I mean, the problem is I don't know who you could trade because like Brandon Cooks didn't do anything, so you can't really trade him. Nobody's going to want him. Maybe you could still try to trade. Maybe you could try to trade Mostert for like a guy who disappointed in week 1, like a Rashad White or something that people are just like, I'm done. Like, he's terrible, or somebody like that. But Mostert wasn't even like great in week 1. He was fine, but he wasn't like great. So I don't really know what you can do, to be honest.
Yeah. I think it's solid. This is more like a 7-5 kind of team. It's good.
Yeah.
Got some upside, of course. If Kelsey plays, that helps. If Jackson plays like he should, still like Ayuk, still like Cooper. And, I think those are good. Good, but you don't have a standout wide receiver 1 type. And you really only have Pollard as a kind of a standout RB type. That's the thing. I just don't know if you have the high-end talent at those positions because you went early QB and you got early tight end. So, yeah, I'm not sure what I would do except for, like you said, maybe try to sell Mostert for something. All right. I guess the party's getting live because DJ Trump.
DJ Trump. He does everything.
10-team. Burrow, Chubb, Henry, Higgins, Devontae Smith, Kyle Pitts, Rashad White, Madison. Bench got Hunt, P. Ryan, Gabe Davis, Bateman, Flowers, Judy. Drop Hunt, yes.
Yes.
For Algier.
Drop Hunt for a warm body.
Yes, especially Algier.
Yeah, I would look. I generally don't say grab a second tight end, but you got to be at least a little bit worried about Pitts right now. So I think it's prudent to grab. Does Trump use the word prudent? I feel like he would use the word prudent. I'm gonna use the word prudent. I don't know if he does. Maybe Biden does. Who knows? But I feel like it would be prudent to get Hunter Henry in case Arthur Smith is really laughing at our fantasy teams, and we really are going to have another year of pain for the Falcons pass catchers. You got Higgins Smith. I mean, yeah, you do have Flowers and Judy, but yeah, I would get Algier and Hunter Henry. I don't know if you need Puka. Judy should be back soon. You got Zay. You probably don't need Puka. Yeah, I would do it I would get Algier and Henry.
Yeah, I think you got the exact right idea. You drop those two players, get those two players, meaning Algier and Henry. And it was said that we just don't like Puka. We're just telling people not to pick him up. Look,
is that what they're saying now? Is that what they're saying in the streets? That we don't like Puka?
One person said it, but I get how you can say that because everybody, Puka, you got to, how much do I spend on it? What? We're thinking long term here, guys. We're trying to think not just in the yesterday frame of mind, but we're looking ahead. So I know Puka is so tempting to just blow all your fab on him, but just saying, it's possible you might regret that. Just
the irony is you could probably go back to like July. I can't tell you the exact videos, but you could probably find a couple of videos where we talk about Puka as a deep league sleeper when nobody else was even talking about Puka.
Nope.
So how can you say we hate Puka? We were talking about Puka before talking about Puka was cool. What the heck?
Because you don't love him as much as everyone else loves him now.
Okay. That's why.
All right, let's go to Julio Espinosa. Has Sun God and Ridley. Would you trade Ayuk and Devontae to get Diggs?
Yeah, I think you got to. I mean, unless you're starting Ayuk are you starting Sun God, Ridley, Ayuk, and Devonta every week? Like, are you starting all four of those guys?
I mean,
if you're starting all four, maybe not.
If you need 3 receivers and a flex, you probably should be starting those guys.
Yeah,
or 2 flex. I don't know.
But I mean, Diggs looked great last night. Even though Josh Allen was horrid, Diggs still looked great. Diggs is like DeAndre Hopkins, except better and with a better quarterback in the sense that, like, he's like, you have to throw me the ball 15 times every game or I quit. Which is great. Might not be great for the Bills, but it's great for fantasy. So yeah, it comes down for me, like, if this is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, give me Diggs. Because being able to start Amon-Ra, Ridley, and Diggs every week is like absurd, just absurd. If it's a 3 wide receiver, 1 flex, or a 2 wide receiver, 2 flex, then I probably keep Ayuk and Devonta. Because, I mean, starting Sun God, Ridley, Ayuk, and Devonta every week is also absurd. So that's what it comes down to for me.
Yeah, I mean, I would think you would have a way to start all 4 of these guys. So, like, it's tempting to try to get Diggs, but I don't have Devontae that much lower than Diggs. And, I mean, he was like a second-round pick in our drafts. Devontae's really good high-end receiver, and Ayuk keeps getting better. So I think I would prefer to have those 2. But it's not a bad trade. Brady, going back to his team, could you package Garrett Wilson with any of his secondary RBs and sell high and buy low? Or is that not realistic? So we're going to have to do some rewinding here. Scoop up Birdie. Go. Okay. Let me go back and look for Brady's team.
Right.
So he's asking, you got it. Look at you. Package Garrett Wilson with a running back or receiver here. Oh, no, he said running back.
Yeah, he said a secondary running back.
I mean, those guys don't really have much value right now. Except for
maybe
Algier.
Maybe Algier. I think if you can package – here's the thing, though. If I'm going to package Garrett Wilson and Algier, I need to get a really good running back. You're not going to get – well, you have Bijan. You're not going to get Eckler. You're not going to get CMC. But if you could get – you're probably not going to get Pollard. You could maybe try, but you're probably not. But if you could get like Chubb, Henry, Stevenson,
I'd say Ramondre. I bet somebody would do that for Ramondre.
yeah, like one of those guys. Like, look, are people still like in love with Chubb after week 1? I mean,
Probably
he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad. Like, he certainly wasn't bad, but he didn't like go off like everybody thought. And look, it's only week 1. I'm not saying he won't. But like, are people still super high on Chubb like they were, before the season when they were drafting him in the first round? Maybe they are. I don't know. But if
Probably.
you can, probably. But if you can get a running back, like if you could trade Garrett Wilson and Algier and get a running back like that, I would do it because you're upgrading Algier to that running back. And, again, Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson will still be fine, but I don't think he'll necessarily be better than those running backs now. So, yeah, if you could package them and get, but make sure you don't package them and get like, Damian Pierce or somebody like that. Like get one of the higher end running backs.
Right. But I think obviously Bijan not touchable. None of your other running backs have any realistic trade value right now, except for Algier. So if you do it with Wilson Algier, I say do it. Try to get one of those solid running back upgrades. And then if he's got Bryce Young right now, would you scoop up Purdy, Goff, or Carr? I would prefer any 3 of those.
Any 3. I like Carr the most this week. Good matchup at home. I mean, did I say Carr or Goff?
You said Carr, but you meant Goff.
I meant Goff.
Yeah.
You don't pick up. I mean, Carr's okay, but not on the road against Panthers. I don't love it. But Goff at home against Seattle plays great at home. Always plays better at home. Between those 3 this week, I like Goff, and then you can just stream. Right, next week maybe it'll be Purdy, maybe it'll be Carr again, maybe it'll still be Goff, whatever.
Yeah, if all 3 of these guys are out there, and you're the guy who had Rodgers, you could probably just flip and flop back and forth. So yeah, go Goff this week and then take it from there. Ryan Leal has Barkley, Madison, Swift on the bench with Algier, Gainwell, Kelly. Should I pick up any of those with the first waiver claim or wait?
Can I just first say I really don't like waiver claim? It's like my least favorite of the waiver priorities.
Yeah, Fab is really a better system. But anyways, I mean, you said Algier, you said something like drop all your Fabs. Does that mean use your first claim on them?
I didn't say drop all my Fab for Algier, did I?
I'm pretty sure you did. I'm pretty sure you did. Let's
all your Fab.
Someone go back and okay. I swear I remember that.
All your Fab. Don't drop all your Fab on Algier, please.
Okay. Well, first waiver pick.
This is like, I even prefer the waivers where it's like lowest scoring team gets first that week and it changes every week, because then you're not like, because here's the problem when you have the number 1 waiver claim. It's like, do you really like, I don't think I want to give up my number 1 claim for any of these guys, even Algier.
Yeah.
Like, I want my number 1 claim to be like a guy I feel like is going to be a true difference maker for my team. Like, again, I always use this example, but it's the most recent example, obvious example we have. Kenneth Walker last year, week 4, where Rashad Penny was out, got hurt, and we knew he was out for the season. I would happily use my number 1 claim for Kenneth Walker.
Yes.
Because we know, like, okay, he's an elite running back. He's going to be the guy. He's going to be great. These guys, like, yeah, I would just pass. This is why I don't like number 1 waiver claim, because if you have the number 1 waiver claim, you're in such a tough spot. You're in such a tough spot, honestly. It's not even like a benefit.
Yeah. It's like a curse. I mean, I know it's tempting because you don't love either of those guys. I think you'd be okay with Madison this week. You can still play him. Yeah, none of these guys feel like legit league winners, because again, as Algier is, as much as he is startable this week, again, over the course of the season, he might start to lose a little bit of that luster. Here's the thing. Well, I'll say I don't know. I don't use my first pick on those guys. I don't know how deep your league is, how active the owners are. maybe nobody puts their claim in to get a Kelly or one of the other guys, maybe Kyron Williams. There might still be one of those guys, Zach Moss, that is still available after waivers, and then you could pick up without using your priority. So just wait and see. And speaking of Kyron Williams, Kyron Williams, Josh Kelly, or Justice Hill, which one? How much?
I'm going to put 0 on Justice Hill. If I get him for 0, fine. I'll take it. I might do like, if you really need running back help, I might do like 7-ish on Kyron, because he's the one that feels like, again, has the chance for the most long-term value. Kelly, maybe I'll do like a few bucks. Again, I'm basing this off 100, so let's go. So if we do a percentage, 7% for Kyron, 3% for Kelly, 0% for Justice Hill. If I don't get him, I'm fine.
Yeah, Justice Hill. I mean, if you're desperate, you need a running back. Obviously, you might have lost J.K. Dobbins. You could put $1 on him and see if you get him for free. I think I said with Kelly before, I could go up to 5. Especially if you're the Eckler owner, you might want to go 7 or 8. And Kyron Williams max, I think, would be like 7.
Yeah, but remember, I'm more frugal early in the year because,
yeah,
like you really need these guys. Like if somebody goes out this week and blows 25% of their fab on Kyron, and then this week he gets like 10 touches. Yeah, not going to feel good.
Exactly. Play the long game. All right. Just so you know, guys, we're still on for just a few more minutes, and we will try to get to all super chats. We're almost there. We're almost caught up. So we'll do a few more. If you got any more waiver wire questions or trade questions or rate my team questions or anything related to fantasy football, of course, we'll get to it. So just use that super chat. Guarantee we'll answer it. We'll do a few more also. So after we're done here, by the way, I think it would be a good time to watch a nice relaxing movie. Take your mind off football and, something fun for the kids. Maybe Shrek 2 on DVD. Like I have to build it up. Need a wide receiver too, a flex and a super flex. Higgins, AJD, Dylan, Dotson, Akers, Gainwell, Rice, Z-Flow. Also have Jimmy G, but Watson is your quarterback.
Well, Higgins definitely is your wide receiver too. Zay Flowers is your flex. I'm still going Jimmy G at QB. Like,
yeah,
you don't have anybody this week that excites me enough to bench him. If Dotson had a better matchup, maybe, but he doesn't. So I'm going Higgins at wide receiver 2, Flowers at flex, Jimmy G as my super flex.
I'm going the exact same way. Yeah, you just want to start a quarterback at the super flex if possible. So there you go. Dotson, it's not a good enough matchup. Sorry. Big Luscious is in the house again. Who's better, Puka or Bourne? You know what? We really haven't gotten many Bourne questions. I'm surprised.
Yeah. I want to know what the 15T, 11T means. What is that? Targets.
Well,
targets.
He's talking about a target share.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, how much do I hate Puka?
More than every analyst now.
I got to go Puka. Like Kendrick Bourne, he had a nice game. I will say there's a path for Kendrick Bourne because, I mean, who is he competing against? Juju Smith-Schuster and the Mario Douglas.
Some rookies.
Yeah, nobody. But it's hard for me to get excited about any Patriots pass catcher ever. So I'm going Puka.
Yeah, Bourne more of a deeper option. I think you got to go Puka because Bourne could have some games, but I mean, we kind of know what Kendrick Bourne is at this point. He's a guy who will have some big games, but will also not have big games, and it's the Patriots pass offense. So I'll take the chance on the upside of Puka. And then another one from Big Luscious. How are we feeling about Dallas D versus Zach Wilson this week?
Like they might win you another week. They may win you another week.
Is it possible that they score even more points this week? I mean, it seems.
No. Well, I better not say no because then they will. And everybody said you could say they couldn't score more, but I mean, that's a lot of points for a defense.
But you never know. Big B, 10 team, got Hurts, Bijan, Gibbs, Hall, Hill, Allen, Fryermuth. On the bench, Richardson, JT, Collins, Kirk, Johnston. Gonna drop Tony and Jameson Williams. That's a good choice.
Yeah.
Who do I pair with Richardson and for trade? I like the way you're thinking here. Okay.
Well, there's not a lot you could pair with him because I would have said, I mean, what's Christian Kirk's value after week 1? Not much. I don't really want to trade Nico, and I don't even really think Nico has. I don't think people realize Nico was good in week 1 because nobody pays attention to the Texans. So I don't even think he has value, to be honest.
Sad but true. Yeah.
Like you offered Nico, people are gonna be like, "What? Who?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know who you could pair with him. You don't really want to trade JT right now.
No.
If you don't need
I mean,
to.
what about I see Hall. Looks like Hall is the flex here, is what I'm thinking. Would you pair him with Hall to try to get a receiver?
I mean, sure, but I got to get a receiver I like. I mean, if you know,
like a Debo? You think you can get like a Debo or a Pittman?
oh, I think you could probably get those guys, especially after what Breece Hall did last night. People are very excited about Breece Hall. I'm just not sure I want those guys because look, the potential is now there for Breece Hall. Like, maybe not right away, but down the stretch, like we could see 90% Breece Hall, and if we do, that could be good enough. And especially with Aaron Rodgers gone now, yeah, they may not score as many touchdowns, but they probably won't throw the ball as much either, which means more Breece Hall. So I'm not sure I want to trade Breece Hall right now. I mean, if I got somebody really good back, then yes. So maybe.
Right. And I'd say too, not just because I hate Breece Hall this year, but got JT stash, so you might need to find a way to squeeze them all in your lineup. So that might be just kind of a safer route. And that way you don't have to rely on Christian Kirk as your flex play ever. That might be what I'm thinking. I mean, try it. You don't know what people are looking for, who they like. It depends on no, and I don't think he's asking target wide receiver tight ends. I think he's fine with Muth.
Muth is fine. You're good. You're good with Muth. Good.
Yeah. So I if it's me, that's what I'm thinking. Go for a steadier upgrade at receiver. And then let's see, we got B Sir. Have Hill, Cup, Ridley, Gabe, and Traylon Burks at wide receiver in a PPR. Roster format has 2 receivers in a flex. Would you blow 50% of your fab on Puka?
No.
This is what we were talking about.
No. Especially, I mean, look, you still have Hill and Ridley. You're still pretty stacked at wide receiver. Okay. I mean, you don't have to flex Gabe Davis. You could flex a running back. I don't know who your running backs are. You didn't put them on here, but I mean, you don't have to flex Gabe Davis, but at least Gabe Davis gives you those big boom potentials. And like this week, they get the Raiders. That's a boom potential if I've ever heard one, is the Raiders. So
it's true.
I wouldn't mind flexing Gabe Davis this week. Like, go ahead. Like I said, like if you really want Puka, blow 15% of your fab. Maybe 20 if you just have to have Puka. But 50, I mean, if you're going to blow 50% of your fab on Puka better be great all year long.
But that's exactly the problem, is because you're saying replacement. This isn't a Dobbins situation. This is hopefully he only replaces Cup for 3 more games, So yeah, I think 15 is kind of like the high end there, but don't go crazy. Dodge Ram 0909. My team is Lawrence, Ridley, Tua, Hill, Lamb, Pollard. You wouldn't stack crazy. And then Connor. Is this a super flex or a 2 QB?
I don't know, but I was kind of disappointed he didn't have Dak, Lamb, and Pollard.
Yeah,
For
I
the
guess.
triple
Okay.
stack.
Bench, Olave is on the bench. Ayuk is on the bench.
What?
Swift, Gibson, and then you had Dobbins and Juju. Oh, no RB depth. Okay, so yes, obviously you're dropping Dobbins. You should be dropping Juju. You can drop Gibson too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're dropping Dobbins. You can drop Gibson. But here's the thing. You got Olave and Ayuk just chilling on your bench doing nothing for your team other than looking really pretty, all those points that don't count. And yet you're starting James Conner. Trade one of those guys and get a better running back. Because this is like, even if like, let's say like you trade Olave and you get, I don't know, you already have Pollard. I mean, but let's say you trade Olave and you get Nick Chubb or you get Derrick Henry or whatever. Like, you still got Ayuk on the bench. And you still have Ridley and Lamb and Tyreek Hill. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you still have 4 awesome wide receivers. Like, trade one of those guys and get a running back. Now, again, don't trade Olave and get, like, I don't know,
Pierce.
Yeah, Pierce. Or I'm trying to think who like did pretty well. Like, I wouldn't get Etienne, even though Etienne had a nice game, and I think Etienne's going to have another nice game this week. I wouldn't. I mean, maybe I would do Ayuk for him. Just because your
team is fair.
Yeah, just because of your team, not
Olave.
Yeah, just because of your team, because you'll still have Ridley, Hill, Lamb, and Olave.
Well, then he'll have 3 Jaguars and he'll have another mega stack.
Yeah, that's
You'll have a whole fantasy team consisting of 3 NFL teams. So Jaguars, Dolphins, Cowboys.
But you know what? If you're gonna have 3 teams for your fantasy team, those are 3 pretty good offenses.
3 good choices.
So nothing wrong with that. So, but anyways, I would try to trade one of those guys and definitely upgrade James Conner at running back, because I mean, they're not doing you any good sitting on your bench racking up tons of points. They're not helping your team at all.
Yeah. So Ayuk seems like the obvious candidate because rather keep Olave than Ayuk, but also Ayuk coming off the big game. So try to trade Ayuk for some sort of running back. And then Diego up here with the 10-teamer. T-Law, Eckler, Barkley, Waddle, Higgins, Mark Andrews. On the bench is Addison, Myers, Connor, Williams, Herbert, Sharp. So got the first waiver claim. Should I start one of these or pick up somebody? I mean,
there's probably nobody I want to use the first claim on. I mean, you never know in a 10-teamer. Like, you never know in a 10-teamer who might be on the waiver wire. But assuming there's nobody crazy on the waiver wire, then I'm probably not using my claim. You got Eckler, Barkley, you're fine. You got Waddle, Higgins, you're fine. You got Andrews, you're fine, assuming he plays, of course. So for flex, we're looking at Addison, Myers, Connor, a Williams, Herbert, or Sharp. I think one of those guys. Like, worst case, you flex Addison. That's not even bad. I don't even mind flexing Addison, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I think you're good. I'd be fine flexing Addison, Myers if he plays, or even Connor this week.
Yeah, I don't think you need to worry about waivers. This starting lineup, because it's not even a very deep roster. Only 1 flex. Yeah, I like Addison this week. Myers looks startable, assuming he plays. Connor's fine. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about waivers too much. You have a really stacked lineup for a 10 team. This looks almost more like an 8 team.
Yeah.
All right, and then our last chance to get a super chat in. Make sure you get that question answered, because we're almost hitting the 3-hour mark. And let's go to Ethan Mitzner with Dobbins out. All right, this is full circle. Back to where we started. Pick up Algier, Gainwell, or Williams.
Definitely Algier. I would order Algier, Williams, Gainwell. That's how I would order them.
Yeah, and I will say this: if those who don't know, maybe just joined us or joined us late, midway. We've been talking for about 3 hours. This will be posted as soon as we stop. This will be available, right, to rewatch in the live video section. So you can always go back and skim through, look for different questions. We answer a lot of similar questions, but try to cover everything. So you can check out our recap also, the beginning that we did, breaking down what happened last night, what happened with waivers, all that. Just a little PSA for you. And then let's see, I'll make sure. I think this is a new super chat from Big Luscious. Is it crazy to offer Rashad White for Dameon Pierce?
I mean, it's definitely not crazy. It feels very lateral to me. I mean, maybe one of these guys, maybe one of them will be better than the other. Maybe they'll be similar. Yeah, feels very lateral to me. Doesn't feel like a big win either way.
Had these guys ranked pretty closely, kind of the same range, a little higher on Pierce. So I'd say if you can get Pierce for Rashad White, I think that's fine. I think you could do that. Is this crazy? This is I guess an either or for Brock. T. Higgins or Puka.
Oh, here we go.
Who is better? Who's been better all season long?
That is true.
It's stats or stats. You can't argue with numbers.
Yeah, now that you pulled this up and we did this, Puka is going to outscore T. Higgins again, and everybody next week is going to say like, "Told you."
I wouldn't be shocked. Nothing surprises me anymore at this point.
Exactly.
Here's a more reasonable one from Tsitsi. Drop Quentin Johnson for Puka.
I think you can, and I think you can.
I'm not worried about holding on to Quentin Johnson. I think it's going to be a while, if at all, if he produces anything. And then one more right under the gun. Ryan with another one here. Clarification. Okay. Question. Clarification. Waiver resets weekly. Puka and London is on waivers. Somebody's already dropped Drake London.
Okay. Even if it's a regular number one waiver claim, if Drake London is on waivers, I'll use my number one claim for him. Like, come on. Yeah.
And then, I'll take London over Puka. You want to address this? Because we do get this question a lot. Carl said that we didn't talk about the Chargers Titans and the running back start sit, and there's a reason for that.
Carl, I'm going to try to have some grace here. This is literally, for anybody watching right now or anybody who watches after, these are literally, and look, let's do this. I'll be diplomatic. Carl, if you have a suggestion to make it more obvious, please let me know. And I'm being sincere. I'm being very sincere. Because we get these comments all the time on the videos, and it frustrates the bleep out of me. Because literally within 30 seconds, we talked about Austin Eckler and Derrick Henry. 30 seconds inside the video, we talked about them, but people can't wait 30 seconds. They have to skip ahead. Not only that. So again, this happens a lot, so I'm taking the blame because there must be something we're doing that people don't realize it. But even on today's video, I even put on there, let me go look. So for the chapters, because obviously people see the chapters because they skip ahead. That's the only way they would miss the first part, unless you just skip ahead on a little timeline thing, I guess. But for the chapter, I even put, so for the first chapter, I said, must start running backs week 2. And then in parentheses, I put, do not skip in all caps. Because I'm like, people must always skip this. So Carl, I'm asking you sincerely, or anybody who watches our videos, which I'm assuming a lot of you do, what could we do differently so that you guys watch the very first 30 seconds of the video where we go over the 8 running backs? So it was 8 this week. It might be more or less some weeks, but we go over the running backs that are like, you are starting these guys no matter what. Because Austin Eckler and Derrick Henry are both in there, so then we don't talk about that game because what are we going to say? We're like, okay, Chargers Titans, we already told you there must start. It's like, we're not, like, why waste the time? So if you guys have suggestions, please let me know. Drop a comment here or on the video. Say, Chris, try this. I'm open. Let me know.
I love Carl. Carl's being very gracious return. He's just like hearing us talk.
Okay.
But look, okay, and this is fair, and I get this, but here's the thing. He says, well, maybe what about Joshua Kelly? I
Okay.
mean, look, I get Joshua Kelly had a big game last week, and Spears was involved, but we don't technically talk about every running back on the roster and every receiver and every because we only talk about the ones that realistically might start. I mean, we're saying, yeah, if a waiver wire, go pick up Joshua Kelly if he's out there if you need him. Well, we're not starting Joshua Kelly unless Austin Eckler's out. But look, if Austin Eckler's out and he's not playing, I think it goes without saying you're starting Joshua Kelly. And by the time we record and put that video out, it would be, I mean, look, it won't be till Friday if we know the injury report. So the bottom line is we're not talking about guys like Spears and Kelly because we can't talk about every player. Like we don't need to say, hey, Josh Jacobs must start. What about Zamir White?
Right.
I don't think he's going to touch the ball much. It's like,
And we did talk about Tyler Algier, even though we had Bijan as a must start. So we do that. We do it when we feel it's appropriate. But the video is already, 30 minutes long. We don't want to talk about, if we talked about every single running back, the video would be like an hour. I mean, maybe you guys would like that, but I don't know if I'd want to have an hour long video personally. So, but again, if you guys have any suggestions for real because like we'll get like 20 to 30 comments on a video, you skipped so-and-so. And it's like, no, we literally talked about him within 30 seconds. Like it's not like it took us 5 minutes to get to him. It was like 30 seconds, but people skip. So if you guys have any suggestions to how to get people to not skip that part, please, I'm open. Let me know.
I think maybe we're just going to have to do that. All right, Chargers Titans. Well, you're starting both those guys. The backups, probably not worth talking about. So let's move on.
Carl. Touche, Carl. Touche.
All right. All right. So hopefully that answers the question. And we'll be back with more. All right, let's do one more question. I think this is an interesting one. Austin Hicks, would you go Tua over Lamar this week?
Tua gets
New England.
Ooh, Lamar gets.
Baltimore is playing. Who's Baltimore?
I should know. I mean, we just did. Like, I should know this. I look at it all day long. Like, how do I not remember this? I got it right here. They get Cincinnati. Give me Lamar.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I know it's Tua. He just had a huge game. He's got Tyreek Hill. He's got Jalen Waddle, but that New England defense is elite. Look what they just did to Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. I think Tua will still be fine, but I'm going with Lamar against Cincy.
I am too. I'm going Lamar. I mean, not a great matchup for Tua, so we'll do that. And just because we were going to get off, here's one more super chat that just drops from Zen. How much fab would you use on guys like Josh Kelly, Kyron Williams? Feel like I could use an upgrade. He's got Bijan, Algier already. That's nice. Khalil Herbert, Tank, Mitchell, and JT stashed.
Yeah, I think you're okay at running back for now with Bijan and Algier and Herbert. But like I said, we did just answer this recently, but I'm guessing you just joined us, so welcome. Kelly, I would do maybe like 3% of my fab. Kyron, I'd maybe go up to 7% max. If you really are desperate and you really want Kyron, you're like, I need him, then I could maybe go 10 absolute max, but I'd prefer more like 7.
Yeah, I don't feel like this, even though it's kind of weird because you look at your running back room after Bijan, you're like, you don't feel great about starting any of those guys. Algier is your second best choice, and he's on the same team as Bijan. But I would say you drafted those guys for a reason because Mitchell could become super valuable. Tank could become super valuable. JT is sitting there waiting. If you can make it a couple more weeks, just mixing and matching, assuming JT plays in week 5, then I think you'll be fine. So I don't think this is a huge upgrade for you since you already do have Algier. So I'm not dropping necessarily any of these guys or spending too much fab. A couple bucks if you want, but I'm still holding guys like Mitchell and Tank right now. It's only been one game.
Yep.
All right. Let's end with this. Let me make sure we don't have any new super chats. Oh, no, we don't. Wait, Sabasan, did you drop a super chat and we didn't see it? If so, Sabasan, put your question right now again. If you could type it again real quick, and we'll answer it. Hopefully, didn't miss.
I'm looking to see if we missed it. Is he SB?
No, it's just his full name. There it is. All right. Ritter, Zach, and Dobbs are his only options. Ouch. I have Stafford, but it's super flex. Okay. So in this case, do you put a quarterback in the super flex spot, or do you go with a guy like Pickens?
Give me Pickens. I mean,
not Dobbs. You can't do Dobbs.
You can't do Dobbs.
Can't do Zach.
You really want to put Zach Wilson in against the Cowboys? I mean, maybe Ritter. Maybe Ritter. Because look, I mean, at least Ritter can like dump it off to Bijan like he did this week, right? Did he get credit for that? Was that a pass or was that end up being a backward pass? I'm not sure.
I don't even know.
But at least he can do that, right? At least he can do that, and he has those weapons around him. But definitely not Zach or Dobbs. Man, I really don't like Pickens' matchup this week. And what I really didn't like about Pickens was with Deontay Johnson out of the game, it wasn't Pickens who got more targets. It was Allen Robinson. Yeah. Not what we wanted to see. So I don't know. If it's my team, who do the Steelers play again? They have a Browns, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Browns on Monday night.
Oh,
man. Go Pickens. Why not? Go all in. Not? Go Pickens.
Why not?
All right, a couple of quick ones.
I don't think we did this. Okay, sorry, but okay, go ahead.
Do we miss another?
I think we might have, but no, I'm not holding Fournette or Hunt.
No,
I mean,
if you're dumb. I get the logic, but no, don't do it. Royland has a great suggestion. The chapter markers, it's just right. It's rude to skip the intro.
I was trying to be nice and be like, do not skip. Like, hey, like, don't skip it because literally it says must start running backs. Like, I don't know what else to put there. I don't remember doing this one. Did we do this one? Tua for Flowers?
No, I don't think. I
feel like I would have remembered this one.
All right, so apologies, SB. Well, if you already have Lamar Jackson,
yeah, this is like no doubter. If I had Lamar and Tua, and somebody said I'll give you Flowers for Tua, I'm like accept. Like, please don't change your mind. Yeah, definitely.
And then you have that lovely stack with Lamar and Zay, which I would love to have.
There you go.
All right, Carl, we appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wait, what do you mean so far? So far?
Oh man, that's a lot of pressure. Like we got to keep this up for 17 weeks.
I like this one better. I can banana.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Appreciate
not just putting that up because we love seeing glowing remarks about ourselves, which I'm not going to lie, it's nice. But I want to point out the fact that you guys are the real GOATs. You're the real MVP.
Yes.
Thank you for watching. We wouldn't do this. Well, yeah, we'd probably still do it, but we do it a lot more, and we'll stay on a lot longer, and we're doing it every night, every week, I think, pretty much, where it's like 24/7 at this point. Every night, as much as we can, just to try to help you guys, because that's what makes it fun. Get to kind of manage thousands of fantasy teams, don't we?
Yes, yes, exactly. And don't forget, if you haven't gone to watch the running back start sit video that is out now, go watch it, and don't skip the beginning.
Don't do that. There's some good information in there. I think so. It's not that long. Look, we don't drag it out. I mean, we get right to it. We try to make it snappy.
And I put the chapters in there so you can go to the look, I know you don't care about every running back, you only care about the running backs you have. So watch the beginning first and then skip to whatever chapters you want. I don't care after that. Just don't drop a comment like, hey, you missed Derrick Henry, or hey, you missed this guy.
Right. Yeah. I don't think we missed anybody relevant. And if we do,
although I will say we did somehow miss Zeke this week, but I don't know if anybody cares.
I don't know if that was accidental. I don't know if it was.
Maybe not.
All right, guys, we're out for now. We'll see you again tomorrow. Don't forget, new video dropping tomorrow, another start sit, and then again the next day, and then our booms, and then those early waiver wire picks. I already told you who you should be picking up. Well, you already talked about them tonight. But now it's time to get ahead of the game. You'll know who to pick up before we talk about them in the
By
future.
the way, shout out to you. I think you mentioned Puka and Rashawn Johnson on last week's Beat the Breakout.
Pretty sure I did.
So if you had watched it and picked them up, you wouldn't even have to be worrying about it right now. You'd already have them. So might want to watch it this week. Pierre's pretty good at that.
Watch it. Got some interesting names in store. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.